What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the American Psycho Lance Hoyt. You are listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the interactive interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Even though the door wasn't locked.
Wow.
Anyway, make a long story short, I'm in the bathroom. I hear Hack, Sandman.
Oh, boy.
And I'm saying to myself, oh, they must be all in the hallway, you know? So I go out to grab a towel and put it around me and see where everybody's going. No, he was not in the hallway. He was in my room because they came back from the bar. He forgot which room was his, and he opened my door, and he was in my room.
That is awesome.
Well, the good news is he won't remember it.
No, well, I'll remind him. But I mean, you know, I'm thinking I hear his voice in the hallway and hear him and Fonzie and this other guy they're in my room. So, and he's looking around. He goes, "This isn't my stuff." I'm like, "Would you get the hell out of my room?"
What time was this at?
This was in the afternoon
before
the show.
I guess that makes it a little more funny. It was in the afternoon.
It was just, I mean, go read the diary entry. There were so many funny things that happened, and I typed them all and put them in the diary. So.
I heard Sandman had a pretty sick match, right? There was like 1,000 sheriffs thrown in the ring, and he.
Yeah, it was crazy. The whole night was just crazy. It was great, and one of the best parts about it was we did something for the American Red Cross for the hurricane relief, and anybody who paid an extra $5 at the Pittsburgh show was entitled to come to the autograph signing, and like we all stayed almost 2 hours after the show and just signed for everybody who stayed. So we made some money for the Red Cross and got to meet everybody who came out. So it was a lot of fun.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there's also a WEW pay-per-view that's currently running, isn't there?
You know what? I don't know if it's on this month. I don't know, James. You should know. You're the one who sends me tape.
Yes, I am, and yes, it is running, and I was actually going to order it this afternoon, but I got stuck in a bunch of chaos during show day, so I didn't actually get a chance to see it yet, but it is running all month long, and if you check out WExtremeW.com, they have the entire list of when it's on and where you can buy the pay-per-view.
We actually put up...
I hope it's the match that I wrestled in. I'm dying to see that.
If I'm not mistaken, it's one where you kind of got into an altercation with Gorgeous George. Is that
that's
sound right?
an older one, then.
Is it an older one?
I'm noticing that they seem to be like 2 months or 3 months back in when they play them.
Okay.
But
well, they're all good. Just go check it out. It'll make you smile.
What I'm curious about, though, and I want to ask you about this, because Wrestling Observer reported on a topic that we discussed last week about the Extremely Hardcore pay-per-view, and what they said that it didn't air because there were so few people there that the lighting was turned down so low that In Demand refused to air it. Is this true, or is this complete BS?
I don't know.
Don't have any idea?
I have no idea whatsoever.
See, that's what I was curious about, because I know that they also filmed the WEW pay-per-view that night, didn't they?
And if our pay-per-view airs eventually, why can't the other one?
That's what I was thinking, exactly.
Well,
right.
I found it. I got to find it hard to believe that there was that few people at a show. I mean, even if you have like 200 people, it's like airable. You know what I mean?
I think there was probably about 200. I think there was poor promotion for the show. I think if they would have put more into the promotion, we would have drew more people. You can't always depend on the internet and word of mouth. You have to really get out there, send the talent out there early, promote the shows, go to malls.
You got to get flyers up there, too, everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of that stuff, for ECW when we were still around. And, I remember one pay-per-view for Dayton, Ohio, I went up a week early.
Wow.
And and I did every morning at 5:30. I did every morning radio show that there was, just promoting that pay-per-view, strong. So yeah, you got to get talent out there early and really push it. I think if we would have made an extra effort and advertised a little better, that we would have had more people. But it was still a strong show. So. But why they did not air it, I really don't have enough information. I'm trying to find out. I'm not getting a straight answer.
Hey, let me ask you another question about not this pay-per-view, but the Hardcore Homecoming. Back to that. I heard Mikey Whipwreck kind of no-showed the pay-per-views. Is that true?
Yes. Somebody said he was sick. Somebody said somebody in his family was sick. Another straight answer I could not get. I don't know what happened.
He's always fun to see. I was kind of disappointed by that.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to seeing everybody, and then, when we got to the building, I think he was supposed to come in on Saturday or something, and they said, no, he's not coming. And we were like, okay, so,
Well, regardless, there was a lot of people there anyway, so...
Well,
of course, he's missed. He was not...
Yeah, he was missed, but, I mean, everybody was there between, myself and Shane and Raven and Sandman and just everybody, just incredible. Chris Chetty, Danny Doring, Roadkill. I mean, I knew Jack. I could go on and on. There were a lot of big names there. It felt like home. It felt like old times, and I was so happy to be a part of it.
Out of curiosity, what name did Just Incredible go by?
Just Incredible.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Vince is going to be pissed.
He's got so many lawsuits out there, I don't think he can keep track of them all. I could call myself Hulk Hogan right now, and he wouldn't even know the difference. He's just too busy trying to sue everyone else.
Yeah, but everybody else would know the difference.
I don't think he ever got a letter saying that he couldn't use the name.
Oh. That was one of the reports that he and Billy Kidman both were told can no longer use that name.
I'm not aware of that. I was told that he never received any.
I don't really think that he would have. He wasn't really in WWE long enough, I don't think, to warrant that kind of action. I mean, he was there for a time.
Yeah, but they're smart enough to copyright their names instantaneously, and if these guys, unfortunately, don't really keep an eye on that, they're going to snag their names from them.
Well, I think it's also partially a situation where you can say, did Just Incredible make a name for himself in WWE, or did he make that name and that character grow elsewhere?
Well,
and I think that actually holds right, and I think that actually holds some legal water.
Oh, you're right. However, the same thing could be said for the Dudley Boys. They were the Dudley Boys for 5 years before they were.
They had it elsewhere.
Right.
And I believe there's going to be a time where everybody's going to lose their names. one day we're all going to just be like, okay, you can't use this, you can't use that. I mean, we're all, everybody, we were talking about it every weekend. Everybody's just sitting around waiting to see what happens, if Vince even cares about people who were never under contract with him, or, nobody knows what's going on. So somebody had said if you don't receive a letter saying that you can't, use this, then by all means you could still do it,
Yeah, and the good news for you is that Francine is your name, so they can't take that.
It's my birth name.
Yeah, they can't take that from you.
Hopefully. No, they can't take that from me, so.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Muhammad Hassan firing. Francine, I'm interested to hear your take on this. And we're also going to talk about Raw, which we saw this past Monday night. So make sure you keep it locked right here to the Wrestling Epicenter, only on the Blaze, 1260 AM.
Call the Blaze request line at 480-965-1260. Request your favorite song. 480-965-1260. The Blaze, 1260 AM.
Shoot. The real thing, i.e., a match where one participant is really attempting to hurt another. The opposite of a work or fake.
The Blaze, 1260 AM.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Dictionary, here on the Wrestling Epicenter. This week's term is
work rate, the approximate ratio of good wrestling to rest holds in a match or in a wrestler's performance.
Ooh, ah.
This has been another edition of the Wrestling Dictionary here on the Wrestling Epicenter.
Yo, maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze, 1260 AM. So what you gonna do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze of Mania runs wild on you?
And we are back here on the Wrestling Episode on the Blaze, 1260 AM. Francine is with us. James Walsh, as always, is also with us. And we're here to talk about Raw. Came from Wichita Falls, Texas last night. And but before, actually, I got to backtrack here. Before we start that, we got to talk about Muhammad Hassan, James. I know you got some strong feelings about this.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, here, I'm going to go off again. Last week I went on a bit of a rant, a slight one. I'm going to do it again here. The rosters are too small as it is, and here they are, releasing people based on things that are beyond their control, like the gimmick that UPN deemed unfit for television. This guy, regardless of what Lance Storm says, and I agree with most of Lance Storm says, but I disagree with him on this, is a good worker. If they could have changed his gimmick up somehow, they could have found a way to keep him on the roster. Yet another guy gets cut, and we're going to see more of the same people on the show each and every week with no people being filtered in and out. this is going to be a problem in a couple months because you're going to get tired of seeing these people. That's why some of these injuries, like Triple H and, God forbid I say this, Rob Van Dam, is a good thing for their career because you forget how good they are, and when they come back, they seem all that more special.
I wouldn't say an injury, but I think a break. To me, this whole Muhammad...
But that's the only way they take breaks these days, dude.
The whole Muhammad Hassan situation, I mean, is obviously more than unfortunate. I don't really even see what everyone says. I thought Muhammad Hassan was a fine worker. I thought he was better than probably 50% of the people I see on WWE's Monday Night Raw currently. To see him go, I think is terrible. And to be honest with you, I don't even think they should have yanked this gimmick in the first place. I don't really think there was anything wrong with it. I think had the WWE had the foresight to not necessarily see there was a bombing in London, because no one could have the foresight for that.
Right.
But, they could have had the foresight to see it's probably not a good idea to bring out 4 masked men. That didn't need that for that storyline to continue on. They could have had some Arab American indie workers come and jump the Undertaker. Wear no masks. Wear no nothing.
Arab. You don't want to piss people off by calling them Arabs.
Well, is that what I said?
Yes, you did.
Oh, well, that just shows how insensitive I am, I suppose.
Yes.
Nonetheless, I think that they could have gotten away with that, and it would have been fine. Again, that was just poor planning, and I feel like, we as fans have to suffer by not seeing him, wrestle anymore. I thought he was a great character. He won me over more than anyone, because when he first came out, I was like, man, this dude sucks. I don't want to see this crap. and I would sit there and I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear him talk, blah, 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 this sucks, da-da-da-da. And then by the end, I'm like, I don't want him to go. I mean, the dude obviously did a phenomenal job because, I feel like I'm kind of hard on workers sometimes and on the business in general, especially coming from the perspective of I've never worked a match a day in my life. And I'm pretty much a wuss.
Gotta keep that in perspective too, dude.
But nonetheless, man, I'm sad to see this guy go. What do you think, Francine?
Yeah. Well, what you're failing to realize is that the word going around is he wanted a release because he wants to break into acting. So I found out that he requested a release earlier on.
Oh.
And he actually, he has moved. I heard he moved to L.A. because he's trying to pursue acting at this point. So, his release might have been him, whispering in the ear, I'd like to be released, and now it looks like WWE is just releasing him because of his gimmick. I think it had something to do with both him wanting to leave and maybe they saw him as that character and maybe they thought they had nothing else for him. But no, he does want to be an actor.
I can believe that. I'm just curious. I read a lot of that stuff on WWE.com. I don't know who you're from, and that's fine. But
I'm in the business, Chuck. I know everything.
Yeah, that's true. I tend to listen to this stuff, though. Do you think maybe the WWE.com reports kind of fabricate what wrestlers really feel like just for the sake of having themselves save face in situations?
They might. I mean, you can't believe everything you read. Mm-hmm. Whether it be WWE.com, whether it be any of the websites, you never know if it's true or not.
Well,
I've heard it just by discussing this with other people in the business.
Right.
So that's where I got my source from. I did not get it from WWE.com. But, of course, they're not going to make themselves look bad. I mean, none of us who have a website is going to go on there and trash our company or ourselves.
Right.
So, you know.
Of course that's the case, but I'm going to go back to when we interviewed Charlie Haas. We interviewed him the day after he got released, and the day after we did the interview with him, he was on WWE.com saying how great the company was, when in our interview he's like, this sucks, they should all be fired. So.
Well, you know what, also, talking to anybody in WWE, you don't want to burn a bridge.
Right.
And not to say nobody listens to your show, because I know we have millions of viewers out there that are listening to the show right now. Some people might use this as an outlet to vent. They might think Vince McMahon will never hear their comments on here, but then they go, to do their interview for the website or for the company. They want to leave that door open. They think, maybe in a year or so I might have another shot to come back.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just you and I, James, but every time we seem to get someone on the phone, it just keeps escalating week by week. We get new interviews, and people say worse and worse things to us, and we're like, I don't think we should even post this, because this is going to be detrimental to their careers. It's
You're bringing their true feelings out into the open.
I don't know how. We don't try. We just ask questions. And we have a great interview tonight with Ricky Morton, where he just goes crazy. He's like, Johnny Ace is an ass. He needs to be fired. He's an idiot.
See that. My opinion is this: if you're going to say something, you stick to it, whether you do one interview or whether you do 1,000. Because if you say one thing that thing is going to come back and it's going to bite you in the ass every time.
The funny thing is, though, since the interview, we've had trouble getting in contact with Charlie Haas, and Chuck insists to this day that he read the transcript that I wrote and hates my guts for actually putting his thoughts out there.
I believe it. I think you were a little too dead on the money.
He shouldn't. No, because why should he hate you if he's the one that said that stuff?
Well,
Perry Saturn.
I got to think that he's young enough where, he obviously has a future in the business. I mean, is it really our place just to quote him and make him look, bury himself essentially so we can gain a few listeners? I don't know. I don't know if that's right. If people
are listening to it live,
they're going to hear it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to, if you want to trash somebody, go right ahead and do it. But there's, you're going to get feedback on it.
Maybe
people are going to hear you.
You
should remain either PC or, or don't do the interview. Keep your mouth shut if you're afraid.
Maybe I just feel a little protective because, I've been caught in situations on the air where I've said things I probably shouldn't have said. And so I know that going into it. And, I don't want to, have anyone, have anything happen to them detrimental to the career for the sake of our show. You know what I mean? But, I mean, obviously, these people are grown men and women. They can say whatever they want to say. It's just really ill-advised sometimes. I don't know why they just decided to do it. I don't know if it's
not
just the nature of the beast, but...
Believe me, people, I'm not going to name names, but people have tried to sue Vince, and then the next year they're on WWE television. So,
Someone
know what
from
I'm
Scotland
saying?
by chance? Yeah.
I'm not saying anything, but
all right,
you know
guys,
how it goes.
We got to move this right along here to Raw. As I said before, it took place in Wichita Falls, Texas. The show starts out with the music of GM Eric Bischoff. He comes out, and he's trying to give the belt to Kurt Angle after the match that took place between himself and Cena at Unforgiven.
Yeah, and of course he's interrupted by Vince McMahon's music. Vince comes out, and I noticed one thing that I want to discuss here. First of all, let's just finish telling the story. He says Cena's still the champion and blah, blah, blah. We all knew that was coming anyway. But in his promotion for what they're calling WWE Homecoming, which I have to believe they borrowed from Hardcore Homecoming.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
When he's talking about that,
you guys are some conspiracy theorists.
I don't know what's going to happen next. Like, what's happening,
Well,
everything we try to do.
Absolutely. Well, the one thing I noticed, though, is he never once mentioned the letters USA on his promotion of the upcoming show.
Well, Spike TV, in a way, I'll tell you what, this is kind of like, I'm going to contradict myself totally. Every time Vince comes on TV, I kind of like mark out in my own little way. I like Vince. I think Vince is like kind of just watching him strut down to the ring.
He's a great character.
I'm like, this guy's the man.
He's a great character.
He totally is. But then to myself, I think this is so awesome that TNA is getting advertising all over Spike TV while WWE's there. The UFC sticking it to WWE. It's always good to root for the underdog. And I kind of feel like Vince is taking a few shots on the chin here along the way. As he tried to play hardball with the networks, and he ended up going back to USA because Spike's like, we don't need you necessarily, and now he takes some shots on the chin for it. It's kind of funny to me.
Well, he's also losing a little bit of money too.
He is.
Right.
And he also might have been told, you can promote the upcoming show, but you can't use the other.
He was told that.
For the other states. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can only go so far. I know from when we were on TNN, there's only so much you can do.
Right. Spike TV specifically told him if you say USA, I mean, there's going to be a problem. You can't do that.
Exactly. Right.
Which I don't blame them for.
But no, I don't blame them either. You're not. It's bad enough they're moving and they're promoting themselves on another channel, but to say the other channel's letters, that's a bit too much.
But it's going to be hard for them to promote the fact that they are moving, because if they keep saying next week, those who aren't on the internet, pretty much, unless they watch the USA Network and see the ad campaign that is going on that station, they're not going to know that the station is moved. It's not going to be on that channel. It's going to be on USA now.
Well,
I still think that you're saying that there's too many casual fans out there. I think they're the die-hard fans that are watching now, because casual fans will not tune in every week.
I agree with that. And, again, that's the WWE's problem. They think they're so big and bad, then they if they want to believe they can go to a different network and everyone will follow, hey, go for it then, man. Give it a shot.
They've done it before. They'll do it again.
Well, I don't know if they'll do it again. It'll take a while, especially with the shape that they seem to be, doing. I'm not saying they're doing terrible by any means.
Oh, dude. But if I can get 4 million people to watch me, I think I'm doing something right.
Well, hypothetically,
yes. It depends on what you're doing.
Right.
This is true. Moving along on that note, we had our first match of the evening being Trish Stratus, the returning Trish Stratus, versus Tori Wilson. Trish gets the win on this one. It was actually a very good match yet again. A lot of interaction by all the different divas. And this whole little situation they got going on here, it seems to be turning out relatively well.
Yeah. I like it. I thought Tori sold really well. They didn't go long, which I said before. They got to keep it short. And they got Ashley involved. She got a huge pop when she did that double clothesline on the outside. I mean, I enjoyed it, you know.
Ashley's pretty over.
Oh, totally. She had to be. She won.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? She's got all her fans backing her up, and she looks great. And she did a nice little move, and Candice bumped for her, and it was short. It was short and to the point, and that's what I liked about it. If they would have stretched it out any further, it would have been a train wreck.
Actually, speaking of being good-looking, Francine, I put that poll up on the website about who's better looking.
I know. John Cena. Very handsome man you are.
And yeah, I won.
You won.
I won.
I saw the picture, but I did not vote. But you are a handsome devil. Now we have to see James. I don't know what James looks like.
I took it to John Cena, baby, the WWE champ right here.
Well, good for you. You know, I think that you and John are tied, because John is a very good-looking guy, but so are you.
But his body's like 8 times the size of mine.
But that's okay. It doesn't matter. Now I have to see James, though, because I have no clue what James
We'll get him up there.
Well, I'm going to blow you away, so that's going to be...
You're going to blow me away. Okay,
sure.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Brad Pitt has nothing on me.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And next match of the evening was Trevor Murdoch versus the Hurricane. I got to be honest with you, I was surprised to see this one. Out of the two people in the Murdoch and Cade tag team, I was surprised to see Murdoch be the first one to go solo and face the Hurricane.
Why, because of his physique?
No, not because of his physique. It's just the first time we saw him on Raw, he seemed a little bit shaky. He's not bad. After his first week on a tobacco, he really seemed to settle in a little bit. And did far better. I just would have expected to see Lance Cade. Maybe they're saving that for down the road. I don't know.
They are. We've already seen Lance Cade solo a couple years ago. So.
Well, a couple years ago, my God, dude. They don't expect us to remember week to week. You think they expect us to remember 2 years ago.
Wow, I'm beaten with that one. I'm beaten with that one.
Unreal. But yeah, Trevor Murdoch actually got the win. It was a fine match. But we're going to move right along here. Eddie Craven versus Tyson Tomko. Tomko wins, big boot, 2-second match. Filler.
Yeah, what was the point of this?
Well, I guess they're trying to really get Tomko over. It's kind of like
here's an idea. Monster. Don't beat him 2 weeks in a row then.
Well, nevertheless, do you really think Tomko has the ability to get that over?
I think he's got one hell of a look.
Yeah.
I mean, that look is incredible. He's all right in the ring. He might need a little bit more time, I think. And it's, far be it for me to say that somebody's green because I've never stepped in the ring in my life. But he seems like he needs a little bit more training, and behind the mic you just got to get something for him, and maybe he'd be somebody that would benefit of having a manager.
Well, I'm going to say 2 things here. A, I actually agree with you, James. I think managers are so desperately needed right now. You know what I'm saying? People like mouthpieces, things like that. My Lord, where are they at? Paul Heyman? I mean, for God's sakes, he's the reason that Brock Lesnar was elevated to the level that he was at.
Forget Paul Heyman. We got Francine on the phone. Why doesn't she get
her as well? Anyone that can talk.
I know the power of a manager.
It is important, isn't it?
It is. It's very important.
I mean, people really overlook it. I mean, I seriously believe if it wasn't for Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar would not have been half the draw that he was so fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially when you have somebody who's, just starting out, only been in the business for a couple years. You know what I mean? It's like some people aren't blessed with being able to speak. You have to keep practicing. It comes with practice, and with the more shows you do, the better you get. It's just like wrestling. You know what I mean? And not everybody is a well-rounded performer. So yeah, it would benefit him to have somebody by his side, whether it be a male or a female. I mean, with his look, I'd like to get a female next to him.
I think so too.
He's so big and burly. They could do so much stuff with a girl-guy combination with him.
And they don't even do that anymore. That's something that I think TNA needs to work on too. And if they're going to be TNA, I'm speaking about it. Next week we're going to do a lot of talk about TNA, just so everybody knows. We're going to kind of dedicate the entire show to it. But if TNA really has to be or wants to be an alternative to the WWE, they have to be different. And one thing that WWE isn't doing that I think would make them totally different is if they actually used females in the role of a valet.
I was telling them that this past weekend because there were TNA officials at our shows.
I agree with you. They need to
that's what I was telling Scott Moore.
It's got to be different. It's got to be more. You got to just do something different. And when you were in TNA a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, whenever the hell that was, I don't remember.
2002.
Yeah, well, I remember the year. I just don't remember what year I am in right now. But when you were there, you were used more of a wrestler. And I mean, no offense, but that's not what you've been known for.
No, and I told them 50 million times, put me with somebody, and they just, Jared, I don't know how to use you guys, and But I just did what I was told because,
that's your job.
That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do.
But back to my 2 points about Tyson Tomko. I gave you one. Second one is, I don't mean to be down on this guy or anything like that. I see him, to me, he reminds me of a test. And I don't think he's ever going to be really anything huge or really anything terrible. I think he's just going to get boring and people aren't going to care either way.
Well, Test got killed because his angles kept getting snuffed over and over again, and then he lost his pass.
His angles got snuffed, dude. How many angles do you need to give a guy to give him a shot?
Yeah, but
he had the whole angle with the big bad booty daddy, and he still couldn't do anything.
He was in the feud with Stephanie McMahon forever, and then he feuded with Triple H, and he lost every single time, and then he was gone.
With this, they were in a feud with Stephanie McMahon. So was Chris Jericho. He resurrected himself absolutely fine. He had another, 6 years after that? I mean, give me a break. How long do we have to hear, there was a bad feud with Stephanie McMahon? Who cares?
No, the feud was great. The fact is, he was buried.
He was buried, whatever the case may be. I mean, that's an excuse you can only use for so long. I'm not saying that I dislike Test. I'm just saying that he didn't do anything either spectacular or terrible. It was just kind of, meh. And I think that's even worse. I mean, if you're really bad, at least people can be like, wow, you really suck, and they'll still talk about you. Or if you're really good, you'd be like, wow, that guy's really good, and they'll talk about you. If you're just kind of floating and like, I don't make any waves, kind of in limbo there, it's not going to be any good for you.
They say the opposite of hate. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference.
That's true. And
you two are so funny. I can't take it.
I got to be honest with you. I'm indifferent about him. And that big boot, what happened? This is something I don't understand, Francine, and maybe you can give me some insight into this. What happened to a viable finisher? A big boot is a viable finisher? Come on. Give me something that I can sink my teeth into. I've seen this 10,000 times. Unreal.
I think for Hogan it is, but... you know what I mean?
Well, you also got to remember, Hogan's been doing that since, 1984.
That's what I'm saying. For Hogan, it worked.
It's just boring me. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative here. I just want to, I see the FU, and I'm like, that's a finisher. I see the F5, I'm like, that's a finisher. Maybe it's not that devastating, but at least it's something new.
If he did this to somebody with name value, though, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, this was a jobber match, plain and simple.
Maybe, but again, even the spear to some degree has lost some value over the time. Even though it's got different names, but we see Edge do it. We saw Goldberg do it. We saw Rhino do it. I mean, how many people have we seen use the spear? When Goldberg first did it, it was like, wow. When Rhino first did it, it was like, wow. By the time Edge got to doing it, it was kind of like, eh.
Well, it's hard to make up new moves.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Make up something.
Hey, that's why I'm behind the mic. You know what I mean?
It's hard to be creative out there. But
I'm sure
it comes down to this, though. He did exactly what he was told to do. He was told to go out there, squash this kid, put the boot up, blah, blah, blah. That's what he was told to do. He did it. He walked off.
But
your hands are tied. You cannot go. You can give as many ideas as you want. Will they do it? Probably not. Sometimes you get in trouble for opening your mouth too much.
Well, I got to say this. We seem to have this discussion like week to week, right? Well, sometimes it's in how they're booked. But, I got to believe to some degree there's like an X factor that's not being utilized by a lot of these WWE talents. Just because someone says go out there in a squash match doesn't mean you can't ham it up a little bit. I mean, I don't know.
Let me interrupt you 1 minute, and I'm going to make this very brief. I'm not going to name names either because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Sure.
I know a lot of guys who went up for dark matches, who went out there and tore it up. I mean, literally, they had the crowd behind them. They hit every move. When they came in the back, they got in trouble with the agents because they did too much and were over too much.
That's fair. That's a fair point. But we're going back to Tyson Tomko and what he did. Quite frankly, Chuck, did you expect him to light the world on fire with this match? You cannot make chicken salad out of chicken bleep.
It was a job match, plain and simple. He did what he had to do and he left.
And again, I'm not saying that I don't like the guy, or I just see a situation here that's going to be nothing but boring. And there's so many other guys that could have this spot that I think could be more valuable. in this instance, he just doesn't do it for me.
Well, I think if they put him in the right storyline with somebody that can help elevate him, I think he has a shot.
Well, see, that's a very optimistic view because you got to think anyone put in the right storyline can probably do fairly well. Now, what do you think the percentage of the times WWE puts someone in a storyline? I mean, how often does it really work out well? Not that often, unless they're the big name guys.
Or unless you can carry the ball.
Right.
And maybe this kid just hasn't had a chance to shine yet.
Hey, there's always the possibility. I hope I'm wrong.
Right.
I more than anyone don't ever want to.
Hey, you're allowed to, like I said, you're allowed your opinion. You're allowed to say, hey, Francine sucks, she's boring. That's your opinion.
I would never say such a thing.
But you can, because it's your opinion. I'm just, actually trying to state the obvious. He hasn't been given that much so far. He's been a bodyguard, and now he's doing, basically 1-minute job squashes.
Well, fair enough.
So put him in the right storyline with the right people and give him a chance to shine a little bit. Maybe he'll pull, if he pulls through, great. If he doesn't, we'll know who's getting released next.
The bottom line is this. When we first saw The Rock, everybody was chanting, die, Rocky, die, and he went on to be one of the biggest stars in the history of the business. So he has to find his niche, and just give him time. He'll find it.
Yeah,
more experience will get him.
Each show that he does, he will fall into place, believe me. It takes a lot of practice to be good, and, some people have it right off the bat, other people's learn. Maybe he needs to learn more, so just give him a shot.
And with that, we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about the Intercontinental title matchup featuring Carlito and Ric Flair. So make sure you keep it locked right here to the Wrestling Epicenter on the Blaze 1260 AM.
Yo, maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze. So what you going to do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze-a-Mania runs wild on you?
Available now in the archives at interactivewrestlingradio.com. It's our exclusive interview with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
So no, we respect each other in the ring and what we've done, and there's a respect there. And even though if he would say something bad, he kept coming back to that respect thing. People had told me, but there's a respect there. But it's business. Business is business with me and him.
This classic 2005 interview can be heard at WrestlingEpicenter.com and InteractiveWrestlingRadio.com.
Worker of the Week.
Show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the coach, Jonathan Coachman from the WWE, and of course, you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
You are listening to the Wrestling Epicenter here on the Blaze 1260 AM. As we continue our Raw discussion, we still got Francine on the phone. Coming up, we have Ricky Morton and Lance Hoyt from TNA. Chuck, go.
We got to talk a little bit about this match. For my money, match of the evening, we sometimes rip on Ric Flair here on the air. I think you stole the show last night.
Woo!
That's right.
Loved it.
It was given so much time. It was so well done. I don't know if it was Ric Flair being really well and stepping it up a notch, or if it was Carlito being really good and stepping it up a notch, or if the two of them just having that moment where it was a really good match. This match, to me, made Raw worth watching.
What do you think, Steve?
Come on, buddy. What do you got to say about this?
Because we know you love Ric Flair.
Even if you do not like Ric Flair, you have to admit this was entertaining. And he even hit the rope, top rope. He hit it.
Twice in a row. That's
unreal.
Here's a trivia question.
They're hamming it up right now with Ric Flair, and I like it.
Here's going to prove that I'm an old-time geek, okay, Chuck? I'm going to give you a trivia question. Before Unforgiven, when was the last time Ric Flair hit a top rope move?
North Carolina?
Wrong.
I don't know.
Starrcade?
Starrcade 1983. 22 years ago. Francine
Did I
gets it
not
right.
pull that question off?
You really are a Ric Flair mark.
I like Flair. I'm sorry.
After that match, I found...
What do I win?
What does she win, James? You asked the question.
I don't
answered
know.
the question.
What would you like?
You guys are lame.
I didn't ask the question.
I wasn't expecting anybody to get it right.
Money.
No.
Yeah, sure, we'll send you money.
All right.
I'll send you the WEW pay-per-view.
All right, that's good. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll send you the pay-per-view you're on.
Awesome.
No,
Okay.
but this match was really so good. Carlito gets better and better to watch every week. And, at first I'm like, why are they going to put Carlito with Ric Flair? And I'm happy they did. I think this is going to elevate Ric Flair to a status where people find him believable once again, especially since Triple H is going to come back. Rumors they're going to feud. That's perfect. That works well for everybody. Carlito, hey, man, he's in there with one of the biggest names in the business.
He got the rub. Definitely got the rub, and he totally
He got the
pulled
rub
it
by
off.
losing twice?
It doesn't matter. He had a hell of a match with Flair.
You got to look at even this. Chris Masters with Shawn Michaels. Yeah, he lost. So what?
James,
Now-
it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Your pay doesn't go up, sweetheart.
That's right. Holla at
You
your
get
boy,
the same
Francine.
amount of money whether you win or you lose.
Oh, I
or
understand that.
Okay.
You mean the loser doesn't make less money?
No.
But you got to think, if you're having your name placed in, your name suddenly in there with Hulk Hogan. We saw Edge have it happen to him for a while.
Right.
Eugene, like I said, Masters with Shawn
Well,
Michaels.
it did wonders for Eugene.
Well, for the time it did, he was over as hell for how many months? I mean, things run their course, dude. You got to let things come and go. But point being is for Carlito to now be, spoken in the same upper echelon as the people like a Ric Flair and a Triple H. That's great for that guy's career, and that gives his
That's
character.
the rub.
That's right.
Definitely.
So what? Say something, dude. You didn't like this match?
Oh, the match I liked. I didn't like the
He
outcome.
always clams up when we talk about Flair.
Because he's like, I don't want to be politically incorrect.
I don't like to talk about Ric Flair. Well,
In
Chuck
that
is
weird
not-
British accent. That's
Just,
wonderful.
just, if you don't like him, say you don't like him. So what?
You sound incredibly too much like my old co-host when you do that, dude.
No, I'm sorry.
You're scared of Flair.
I'm scared. That's
You're
not.
so scared.
I'm not scared of Ric
Dude,
Flair.
you're scared of like a 60-year-old.
Woo! I love it. It was a great match. They both worked
All
their
right,
butts
I'm
off.
gonna break kayfabe here. This match was actually good. I was entertained, and I will say this: Ric Flair backstage with Carlito, I was laughing my ass off when Carlito went off on him and he said, "Oh really?" and beat him up. I thought that was hysterical.
There you go.
It was
Okay.
good. All right,
See,
let's.
I'm not
That's
unfair.
all we asked for is your true feelings.
Yeah,
I'm not
why are you
on-
trying to be all like, I got to break out of kayfabe for a minute?
I don't like Ric Flair. I'm sorry, but I'll tell you what, I was entertained by
What are
him
we
this
trying
week.
to hide people from? We're sitting behind a mic. They can know what goes on. It's okay. I promise you.
Well, I'll tell you what. Like I said, I've never been unfair to Flair. However, I don't like the guy, but I will say this: he was entertaining as hell this week, and he had a good
Great match. Great match. 5 stars. Great match.
5 stars. You got it, Francine.
We're using the
Match
star
of
system
the
again?
night.
What are we, Dave Meltzer?
Oh,
5 stars. 5 stars. Great match.
So then we saw a little promo with Matt Hardy. We saw HBK show up, The Big Show show up, John Cena show up. Everyone showed up, and I thought
This
it
was a
made
crazy promo.
but it made everyone look good.
It was just wacky, though.
You didn't
know,
like it?
It was just no, I liked it, but it was just a typical wacky comedy. I don't know. I just found it amusing.
I didn't understand at the very end when Shawn Michaels kind of poked his head out, and he's like, "And we're off." I was
It
like,
was
"What?"
just comedy. It was just just a commercial. It's time for a commercial. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just a lead into a commercial. I just found it to be funny. I don't know.
I like seeing this stuff for one reason, because it's clear to me that these guys are actually having fun, and it's always
Exactly.
fun. It's always fun. Like last year's pay-per-view, Taboo Tuesday, which is coming up again. It just seemed like the guys were all having fun during the show, and the bottom line is I like seeing that, because if they're having fun, I'm having fun. It looks like it's enjoyable.
I would
James
agree
was
with
having
that.
fun.
But you know what I was also happy to see there? And I was happy to see for Raw as well, which is another thing that kind of saved the show for me. Because for some reason, I never feel the first hour of the show. Maybe it takes me a little while to get warmed up, you know what I'm saying? I need a little foreplay in my Raw. So then we get to the point where we're at the second hour, and
Such
things
a
start...
pervert.
Whatever, dude. We get to the second hour, things really start to heat up. And, I'm so pleased to see Matt Hardy. It seems like he kind of went through that initial, we love Matt Hardy, then it kind of died down. Now everyone seems to be, like, legitimately behind him as a face. Before it made it seem a little hollow because, it was kind of like contrived, if you will. Now it seems like people are legitimately behind him. And again, he's getting a huge rub. He's cutting promos with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and what were we talking about prior? We were talking about there was no place for the Big Show.
Yeah.
And now he's in the main event with everybody. So that was, that was also a step up for him too.
And I don't know if everyone out there heard. I do a little segment where it's called Worker of the Week, where we give an award to who worked the best, and I gave it to Big Show simply because.
Yeah, and that drum roll, let me just say, is too damn long.
That's the joke of it, Francine.
I just have to say that because I'm saying to myself, what the hell is going on with this drum roll?
That's what you're supposed to do.
We actually had
climax. It just killed me.
We had Bill Cosby sitting in the other room, and he said,
"No,
it's
don't
too
put Bill
long."
on again.
Yeah, we don't want to hear Bill.
I'd rather have the gay guy than Bill Cosby.
The gay guy's not here yet.
Yeah, I know.
He'll be here shortly, hopefully.
That's
Maybe we
all
can
right.
throw him out with you for just a
Just
second.
cut the drum roll a little shorter.
All right,
Make
next
me
week
happy.
it'll be shorter for you, all right?
All right,
We can
cool.
do that. But I got to tell you what, this was just such... I gave it to him simply because he took one spot in the match, and everyone was like, wow, holy crap.
He took an angle slam over the top rope, which was pretty sick looking.
And that was it. That right there made that match worthwhile. And I mean, maybe I'm kind of a fan of just the high spots, but
Yeah.
still, it was good. That right there made that match. In my
When you
opinion.
have 8 people working in the ring, you really don't need to do a million different moves. You know what I mean? And the one thing that he did was phenomenal, and it goes to show that he does deserve to be in the upper tier with everybody else, because I do think he's a good worker, and I think he has that charisma.
He's a funny dude.
When he's walking to the ring and he's just like a big teddy bear when he's a babyface, because he's just waving at the kids and slapping hands and stuff, and I definitely think they should push him more.
You know, I got to say this, though. Let me bounce this off you guys. Who's the one that gave him the angle slam? Oh, the best wrestler alive today, Mr. Kurt Angle.
Oh, here we go again.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you marry him?
I don't know about that. I'd shake his hand and be like, dude.
You love him so much, why
you're
don't
the
you marry him?
Because, I sit with a guy.
Because he doesn't live in Massachusetts.
He rips on a guy, Ric Flair all the time. He rips on Kurt Angle all the time. Everyone that he likes doesn't even, wrestle anymore. You know what I'm saying? Kurt Angle is the best there is today. Period. And, every time you see him in a match, he brings such unparalleled intensity. There could be 100 people in the match. He still stands out as the best. And he gave the half of the spot of the night. That was
He's
partially
very
him.
good. He's very good.
Walsh, you got to say something about this match. You're sitting there with your legs crossed like you're sleeping. Did you watch Raw? Did you like this match? Was it fun for you?
It was a fun match. I told you before. The promo was fun. This match was fun. Even the pin at the end when they all just ganged up and pinned him. It didn't.
That was hysterical.
That was great.
Right.
That
It
was
looks
great.
like I said, if those guys are just out there looking like they're having fun, it's a lot more enjoyable for me to watch than if they look like they're miserable.
You know what made that so good? It's something I haven't seen before.
And if they could book the whole show like that, imagine the greatest 2 hours of television ever for a wrestling fan.
It'd be so
If
fun.
everybody was just having fun and just, what's that?
I said ECW.
Oh, yeah, well, nowadays.
Yeah.
We're talking about Raw, we're not talking about the past.
Right.
I'm just saying, if they could book the whole show like that, imagine how entertaining it would be.
Francine, would you mind if I kissed your ass by talking about ECW a little more?
No, not at all.
Come on, dude.
No, you were just saying that. We were just.
As a matter
Everybody
of
always
fact,
says how fun it
as a
was.
matter of fact, why don't you talk about me?
We did.
Kidding.
No, even the ending, going off the air, seeing Shawn Michaels on the Big Show shoulders, and kind of having John Cena giving it up to him, and Matt Hardy giving it up to him, and everyone's like, yeah, dude, rock.
It was fun.
Awesome.
That's all you have to say is it was fun television. It made me smile, and it made me appreciate, being a wrestling fan again. Because sometimes you're just like, man, why do I watch this? But it was entertaining.
I know
So
there's a lot of
enjoyed it.
people that listen to our show that are really like, I'm so disenfranchised with the WWE. And I'll tell you what, you see a match like the Ric Flair match, you see a match like this final match we're talking about right now, you're like, hey, I don't mind maybe the last 3 weeks sucked. To see these few things right here was worth it.
I'll tell you what.
You can't always hit a home run.
You can't always hit a home run. This one actually, I think, was a home run. It was a lot of fun. I think both of us, all three of us, from what you said, Francine, have seemed to enjoy this show completely. I give it a thumbs up. What do you say, Chuck?
Oh, man, I give it a definite, I give it a definite thumbs up. I give it like a 7 out of 10. Simply because, as I said, the first
That's
hour
a thumbs
was a little
up?
slow.
I'd hate to see your grades in school, dude.
A 7 out of 10, what would that be?
5 stars, 5 stars, 5
That would be a
stars.
C-, dude.
Well, it's above average. No, 7 out of 10 is a 7.
That's actually average.
That is so not a C-. That's
7?
more of a B.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
A
7 out of 10?
A 5 out of 10 would be an average.
Well, let's see. You got to figure it out. So, no, 5 out of 10 would be 50%.
Oh,
average. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. That's in the middle.
If you multiply 10 by 10, you get 100. So if you multiply
what
10 times 7, it's 70.
Okay, and
70
we're
out of
boring the
100.
listeners right now by doing arithmetic and adding and
No
subtracting.
kidding,
so
dude.
Let's
Don't
just
ever
say it
attempt
was a
this
good
again.
show.
It was.
We all liked it. We don't have to, 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It was a good show.
The bottom line is this. I suck at algebra. I failed it for 2 years in college, so I'm not going to go that route.
Well, you tried and you failed that too. Hey, Francine, we're going to let you off the air. We appreciate you stopping by this week, and we'll definitely talk to you next week. Also, don't forget to check out foreverfrancine.com. She got the new diary entry up. Am I correct, you said?
I sent it to her today. It should be up by tomorrow, and then you could steal it off my site and put it on yours.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Let me ask you this question. I was just checking out Missy Hyde and FrancineTV.com, and it appears you guys have Daphne in a pictorial?
She's been on for the last 3 months.
Has she really? See,
oh, yeah.
Shows how much I pay attention.
She's our guest model for this shoot.
And she's hot, too. Let me give her credit.
Beautiful girl. She's one of my best friends. I love her to death. And they're brand new pictures. Nobody has seen her within the last 2 years. So, yeah, it's all current pictures. We took a lot of shots of her, and she's our featured guest model.
Let me just say this. I feel kind of bad for Daphne right this second. She came into a recent situation where she was all hyped up for a good couple interviews here, and people didn't seem to do her justice, and I don't really understand why.
She's a talented worker, very dedicated, a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out. I love the girl to death. She should be working for Vince right now.
She just seems so chill.
Yeah, she's such a cool girl, and like I said, I met her like 3-4 years ago, and we just stayed in touch, and I called her and I was like, you want to be on the site? And she's just like, hell yeah. So I flew her down to Florida and we spent 4 days together and hung out and
drank some
all
beers.
her stuff is up on this. Yeah, we do video on the site. So we both got a little inebriated and I interviewed her, and it's the funniest interview, and it's in 4 parts, and the first part is up. It's a video interview. So you see us. We're actually laying in bed. And I'm asking her questions as we're drinking, and it's hysterical. Very funny.
We actually had to push back the Ricky Morton interview a day because I myself was still inebriated from the night before this past weekend.
There you go.
Doing
and it's
interviews,
even better when you get people that don't drink.
Yeah.
So after like 3, I'm like, woo, Shannon, tell me this, and it's just really ridiculous, but it's so funny, and it's good TV, believe me.
all about having fun.
And that is, once again, Missy Hyde and FrancineTV.com. Great membership. Go join right now.
All right. Francine, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Okay, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back with our Lance Hoyt interview. Then we're going to go into some TNA news and notes. We're going to be taking callers. We want to hear what you guys think.
Hi, this is Candace Michelle, and you're listening to the Blaze 1260 AM.
The one and only Lance Hoyt. Lance, how you doing today?
Doing very good, man. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. It's an honor to have you on the program. You're becoming like a cult favorite among the TNA elite.
I'm trying, man. I'm busting my butt trying to make myself known in the wrestling world,
Yeah. I mean, it's really weird. I didn't know that it was happening, and then I turned on Impact one day, and the crowd is going nuts for you. Hoyt, Hoyt, Hoyt. And we mentioned that we were having you on the program, and the fans kept emailing and calling in saying, you got to ask him this, you got to ask him that. So looks like you're getting a following going, man.
Well, it kind of seemed to happen fairly quickly, about the time that Cash left, the fans had seemed to be paying attention already for whatever reason, and then once I started working on my own, they just, for whatever reason, decided to really start cheering for me, which has been awesome,
Were you concerned at all when Kid Cash left that would be kind of a detriment to you and your push?
Did I think it would be a detriment when he left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen when Cash left, because it caught pretty much everyone by surprise. I think, I, like pretty much everyone else, found out that he was leaving the company on our website, TNA's website, and we had a match more or less coming up at Lockdown, and it was only like a week or two prior to Lockdown, and, I just didn't know what exactly was going to happen, and I know the last time, Cash and the company kind of had a small falling out. I suffered a little bit from it because we were a tag team, and so I didn't know if that was going to affect what was going to happen at Lockdown, and everything's taken a different direction since then.
Excellent, excellent. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your first run in wrestling? Well, let me ask you this first before we get into that. Let's talk to you about what exactly attracted you to the crazy world of professional wrestling anyway.
Well, I mean, I'd always been like an athlete in high school and even into college. I played college or high school football and college football for about 3 years. You know, and then when I was in high school, I also did a lot of the one-act plays, and I was into the acting and whatnot. And when I was in college, I took several classes that were arranged around, you know, acting. And I think the combination of the two, the athleticism along with the entertainment value that professional wrestling offered, you know, it just captured the imagination when I started watching it. And I didn't start watching wrestling until probably about 94, 95. And Sting was my favorite at the time, you know, because he had taken on a whole Crow persona. And it was just something that I was really into at the time. And he had that. Just the whole thing captured my attention. And then I got offered a chance to get into the business when I lived in Austin while I was still in college. And I took it, and, you know, that was, you know, a little over 5 years ago, and now I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, the first run you had, you worked in Texas at Shawn Michaels Wrestling. I guess it was his academy that we also had wrestling shows. Did you ever actually run into Shawn?
No, I didn't start with Shawn.
You didn't?
No, I didn't start at Shawn's school, no.
No, I didn't know. I know that, but I know that you had worked a couple shows at, I guess it was Texas Wrestling Academy, whatever that is.
Yeah, I worked a couple of the last few shows, the last couple shows that TWA actually ever had. No, I didn't. Shawn had really separated himself from the whole TWA product at the time that I got involved. Rudy Boy Gonzalez was the gentleman who was running the whole thing at that time. And no, I never ran into Shawn.
But you did get an opportunity to work with like Paul London and a few others, correct?
Yeah, I actually, for TWA, I worked Paul my first time, and then I've worked Paul in several different places. The gentleman who originally trained me, Solo Faitala, he ended up running some shows, and Paul and I worked there, and then the organization in Dallas, where I work pretty much all the time when I'm here. And, you know, it's a great little independent organization down in Texas. It's called PCW, Professional Championship Wrestling. And Paul and I had probably what I consider my best independent wrestling match ever at one of their big shows called Genocide back in, like, 2002.
Well, you're kind of a big guy to be doing some of the high spots that you do. I've seen you do a moonsault. You're a pretty high-flying guy for that. How'd you get so athletic and fearless to do something like that? Because I'm not sure I'd be willing to do it if I was your size.
You know, I mean, it's just something, as the moonsault, one day a bunch of the kids were in the ring here in Dallas. They had the crash pads down on the mat, and they were all trying stuff. And, you know, we had a bunch of the little guys that were just, they were afraid to do it. And I'm going, guys, you got to do this stuff. This is what you've got to do to be in wrestling, you know. And they're like, well, you do it then. I've never done a moonsault. I'm like, well, get up there and do it then. You think you're so cool. I just got up there, and, you know, I used to have a bunch of cheerleader friends back in college, and they would tell me all the time, you know, if you want to do a backflip, you want to do this, your body will follow your head. So I just went and turned my head as far back as I could and just turned over and hit it clean, quick, the very first time I ever tried it. And so from that point on, you know, I just kept trying to do little things that, you know, the little guys would do. I figured out I could spring up to the top when I was playing around pretending I was Rob Van Dam and jumping, you know, doing the springboard up to the top turnbuckle and turning around and all that stuff. And then I figured out I could do a regular springboard. And I think the one thing that separates me is my abilities to do that, but the one thing that I wanted to separate me for is because I'm not, you know, I'm 6'7", 6'8", you know, 270 pounds, something like that, which is a big guy, but I'm still not just jacked to the gills. I'm not, you know, I'm not Batista size or something to that effect, and I don't get to play that role, I don't think, so I have to do something a little extra to separate me. You know, I am a big guy, but I'm still not a giant mammoth.
Well, when you first came in, you were known as Dallas, and then Diamond Dallas Page showed up, and all of a sudden you're Lance Hoyt. Did one correlate with the other?
Everything that I was told was no. That had nothing to do with it, you know, and DDP actually was very cool with me. Even the first day he showed up, and he walked right up to me, and he goes, "Hey, Dallas," and I was like, "Oh, crap, the guy knows my name. That's kind of cool." But, you know, when I was, you know, they were doing some stuff with Cash after the first pay-per-view, after Victory Road, They didn't really have any plans for me at the time. You know, they've been using me more or less just as a, I call it a ring ornament. You know, I was just always out there, but I never wrestled a whole lot. And at one time, you know, Dusty took over the booking, and I don't really think there was any reason behind it. They just didn't have anything for me at the time, and I got pulled off the show for a little while. And I finally flew myself to Orlando and said, what's going on? You know, you guys have given me no reason. Everybody keeps saying, don't worry, you'll be back soon, but nobody has a time frame. And that was when Abyss and the company had a little contract negotiation issues. And I got thrown on the show one night when I showed up, and they were like, okay, we're bringing you back, but we're not going to let you wrestle under Dallas. We want you to work under your real name, Lance Hoyt. And, you know, I mean, at the time, it was like, I just want to be back on the show. I want to get back on TV. I want to get back to being paid. So I'll do whatever. I never really liked the idea of being Lance Hoyt, but it's taken a life of its own, so I really can't complain at this point.
It sure has. But also, you know, I've seen you a few other places aside from a TNA ring. I saw you on Eliminate back in like 2002. Also in the Sting movie, as well as a dancer on the Jenny Jones show. How did you get on such an eclectic mix of television shows?
The Jenny Jones thing, I think it came about even before I was in wrestling. You know, I was just a college kid. I've always very much enjoyed dancing. Really, again, good at it for being as big as I was, doing a lot of the breakdance stuff, popping and locking and all that stuff. Jenny Jones at that time had what she called the Jenny Jones Dancers. It was a bunch of girls. I jokingly called the show going, hey, y'all should have a guy on the show that's the Jenny Jones Dancer. They called a couple different times, you know, wanting to put a show together, basically the geek to chic type shows where, you know, this is what I was before, now look at me now. And that's what it ended up being. But the whole thing kind of got killed because the guy that they were going to bring me on the show with, he and I didn't have a long enough separation. They wanted at least 5 years between the last time we'd seen each other, even though the show is completely set up, for our reunion, you know, and so they ended up just putting a video package together, and they had people vote online and things like that, so that's what that came from.
And Eliminate, how did that come to fruition?
Eliminate, that was basically they'd come to Austin. A friend of my roommates and I had gone to one of the auditions, and at the auditions they would ask people, hey, do you know anybody else that might want to be on the show? Write down their name and phone numbers and things like that. They called our house. I answered the phone and talked to them for a minute. They said, hey, why don't you come in for an interview? I did. They ended up calling me back, you know, about a month later and doing a longer, more extensive interview, and then they were like, okay, well, we're going to come to Austin and we're going to put you on the show. And I tried to get them to let me be the one guy with the 4 girls, but they wouldn't do it. They were like, you're too different. We got to stick you with the other guys because everybody else is such a normal, preppy, you know, frat boy-looking guy, and I was the long-haired professional wrestler. So,
and did you win?
Again, like professional wrestling, sometimes things are very much set up. No, I didn't win. The little guy beat me. They set it up, you know. They had the girl eliminate 2 guys, and then it left me and the guy that was almost literally half my size. And, you know, the whole thing came down to the end, and she chose the little guy, and it was like, oh, you know.
And that's a heartwarming story for all.
Oh, yes, you know, the little guy prevailed. David won.
All right, man. So back to wrestling. Are you excited about getting on Spike TV starting October 1st?
Oh, extremely, man. I mean, this is, you know, I got involved with TNA back before we even had Fox Sports. And,
yeah.
You know, at that time, they were like, guys, we've got some big things coming. Just stick with us. No worries. You know, I know we're just doing the pay-per-view thing right now, but we got bigger things. And then here came the Fox Sports. And, all right, we're on national TV. Kind of crappy time slot. Fridays at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which wasn't great, but we're still on TV. And, you know, we went from there, and then when the whole Fox Sports thing ended, when it dropped off, you know, nobody knew exactly what was going on or what was going to happen. You know, there was rumors of, oh, TNA's done, it's finished, but, you know, we still have the pay-per-view scheduled. You know, they canceled some tapings, and everybody's like, oh, crap, what's going to happen? And, you know, they kept telling us, you know, guys, don't worry, we've got good things coming. We've got, you know, bigger fish we're going to fry, you know, and this and that. And nobody knew until the day that they signed it, you know, and they called everybody for a conference call, and they announced that we got Spike. You know, it's a huge deal. It's Saturday night on their Slamming Saturday Night programming. You know, it's 87 plus million viewers that'll probably see us, and you know, it's just a chance for us to really show the whole world that we're a real deal, that we're something to be reckoned with, that this company is here to stay, and that we're going to do new and cool things in professional wrestling.
Indeed. With your debut on Spike TV, it seems like TNA has kind of shown a lot of interest in former WWE wrestlers. Is there anyone in particular that you'd like to see kind of come over to TNA and help the product out?
The only person that I've heard that they've had interest in, that I personally have interest in, simply for the fact that he's kind of the reason I got into the business, was Sting.
Oh, yeah. Sting's a great guy. I had a chance to interview him about a year and a half ago, and he's such a cool guy. He actually sent me like 10 copies of his movie because he enjoyed the interview, and I was like, wow, this guy's the real deal. This guy's real cool.
Yeah, my experience with him when I got to do the movie,
yeah.
They kind of asked me out of nowhere. They're like, hey, you know, we need some extras for Sting's movie. Do you want to do it? I'm like, do you have to ask me twice? No.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, we went and did the movie, and then they were like, okay, we're going to use you and Harris for this one scene. And we're standing around, they're like, well, can you hit him with a chair? And I'm going, you want me to hit Sting with a chair? You know? But that's my mentality, and we did the whole scene, and, you know, it was an amazing, cool thing. He took a picture with me, which was really cool, and I actually got him connected with an old friend of his, which was the Angel of Death. And that was kind of cool for me. I don't, you know, just personal issues. But yeah, I think if anybody they could bring in that I would enjoy seeing there would be Sting. You know, when I heard they were trying to get me Foley, I thought that was kind of cool because I think Nick also, he was very cool at the time, but like he's chosen to go back to WWE. You know, I simply hope the best for him and his wife and his family and everything. So.
What about you? Would you ever go to the WWE, or are you happy where you're at?
I am completely happy where I'm at.
That's good to hear. That's really a good thing to hear, because as you remember, Sting was the quote-unquote Rock of Gibraltar for WCW, so he never went anywhere else, and I think that would be, in a lot of ways, that'd be why his value, if he went to TNA, would be so much more than, say, if a Scott Steiner came in, because he never was devalued by the WWE.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, I just signed a new contract with TNA, so, I mean, I'm not going anywhere for a while.
That's good news, man. Well, why don't we close out with a couple of word associations. If you have a story, feel free to share it. If you just have a one-word answer, that's cool, too.
Okay.
All right, how about Kid Cash?
Good mentor.
How about Trinity?
Crazy girl.
How about Paul London?
Paul London. Probably the best cruiserweight talent in the business.
Jeff Jarrett?
Very good owner.
Very good owner. Chuck, do you want to throw a couple in?
No, I'm good. What about Monty Brown? That's always a good one I ask.
Best friend in the business.
Yeah, that guy's going to make it. It's amazing to me that he should be world champion right now.
I'll give you a small funny story. Monty and I are probably, like I said, he's my best friend in the business. He's one of my best friends overall. And he and I, since we started going to Orlando, have just been associated with each other the whole time. You know, we travel together. We do, you know, they set up the rooms, and everybody has to have a roommate or whatever. Monty and I have always done that and whatnot. People, you know, made jokes and this and that, but the one joke that has come about, and it was pretty much started by Christopher Daniels, who is one of the coolest cats in the business, that's for sure. They do associations with Monty and I, black and white associations. My favorite, obviously, is Bacardi and Cola. So we get Reeks and Murtaugh, Bacardi and Cola. What was the movie with 48 Hours and those two guys? You know, just anything that has a black-white combination, that's Monty and I. So Monty and I are Bacardi and Cola.
All right, man. We can't thank you enough for your time. We wish you the best of luck. Hopefully we'll see you at Unbreakable this Sunday. And, of course, we'll be tuning in on Spike TV when you guys get on there. And I wish you guys the best of luck. You know, Roddy Piper said a while ago that TNA is a rocket ship just waiting to take off. And hopefully this is your guys' chance to launch.
I hope so, man.
And we are back here live on the Wrestling Epicenter here on the Blaze 1260 AM. We got Dynamite Kid on the line. He'll be joining us here momentarily. Right now, we have a quick job to do. Again, we went over with Francine. We went over talking too much Raw. We got to burn right through SmackDown.
Can you blame us, though?
You can't blame us. SmackDown started out as usual fashion. It did cluster. We had Chris Benoit come out. They showed footage of OJ tapping out to him at SummerSlam in like 30 seconds. Christian came out, distracted Benoit. OJ took a shot at Benoit. Booker T came out, made the save. The referee came out. We had a quick tag match. It went on and on and on, blah, 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 blah. Things happened. It was fine.
I still say OJ should come out in a white Ford Bronco.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny. We got to move right along, though. We saw Animal versus Heidenreich, or Animal and Heidenreich, excuse me, LOD 2005 versus Eminem for the WWE Tag Team Championships. This, in my opinion, was the stinker of the night. As Eminem went on to get disqualified, although, you know, what can you do? Not everything, as Francine says, can be a home run.
Considering how good their match on the webcast was, this was a real letdown for this feud.
And I want to go to the next match. JBL versus Rey Mysterio. Absolutely ridiculous. JBL should not be facing someone of Rey Mysterio's caliber, as JBL is not that talented of a worker to keep up with someone like Rey Mysterio. Ridiculous.
I disagree. Rey Mysterio Jr. is a midget. He should not be in the ring with anybody over 4 foot 3 inches tall.
And again, we have another odd match here. Batista squashing Nunzio. Again, I don't understand this. I'm not going to say that I think Nunzio should have won by any means, but he is the Cruiserweight champion after all. He should be placed against other Cruiserweights to defend that championship, not job out to the World Heavyweight champion.
Nunzio is a midget. He should not be in the ring over anybody 4 foot 3 inches tall.
Want to talk about Randy Orton versus Undertaker match of the evening. These guys have some phenomenal chemistry together. Always bust out quality matches.
Cut.
Undertaker takes this win, beating Randy Orton. I don't understand this as well. I think Randy Orton should have gotten the rub, as he could have went on to do some bigger and better things. If he's going to face Batista, who is a real over person and a powerhouse right now in the WWE, you got to give some guys some momentum leading into those matches.
I will say this. It was really a cool visual seeing The Undertaker laying in that coffin.
It was weird. I don't know how they got that done. We also forgot to mention one guy. Do you know who it is? Ken Kennedy defeated an unknown jobber.
Well,
Good times.
I like Ken Kennedy, but the bottom line is this, dude. I've been saying for a long time they need to slow the hell down. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with Tomko. I don't have a problem with Kennedy. I think it's good TV.
Dynamite Kid, you with us on the line, my man?
I'm here. What's going on, guys?
Talking some wrestling, my man. What are your thoughts on all this? We got a lot of good stuff to talk about here this night. What's your opinion?
Well, quite frankly, I'm kind of on strike, so to speak, from WWE right now. And I'm going to tell you why. Bottom line is...
You tell us why.
The product right now is absolutely garbage from top to bottom. They have not given me anything that has made me get excited within the past 2 years. Okay, the last time that I can honestly say
strong words
anything was probably roughly WrestleMania 20 when they had the main event where it was Benoit versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels. That was just about the last time that I can honestly say that I got lost in the moment and really marked out completely. For anything. Right now, the product is absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage.
There's not one thing that you enjoy about watching wrestling these days, as far as the WWE is concerned.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. What is the difference between Gene Snitsky...
No chewing gum on the air.
What was that?
Not you. I'm talking to Chuck. He's chewing gum into the microphone. I'm going to turn off your microphone.
Snitsky, Batista, and Tomko. There is no difference.
I agree with you totally.
Everybody is being portrayed as this intense, beastly character. You could even lump, as much as I love Kurt Angle, and I do agree, I think he is the best wrestler today, but if you take his wrestling abilities away, they're trying to portray him to be this lunatic, loose cannon, and it's just, there's no variety amongst any of these characters whatsoever.
Well, I got to say this. I think Kurt Angle has some real passion for the business, therefore his intensity works. I agree with you. When I see Gene Snitsky talking about feet and then they try and portray him as this big, tough, intense guy, it doesn't work for me. I think it's a waste of time.
Absolutely. I mean, and what I don't understand, I mean, back in the day, you had guys that were fat, skinny, tall, short. They came in all shapes and sizes, okay? And yet, not to mention that Vince had less pay-per-views, less TV time, and a bigger roster, and everybody was over. They do not develop characters at all anymore, and the creative team has absolutely got to go because they suck.
You know, we're going to play that Ricky Morton interview where he actually says Johnny Ace wasn't even a good wrestler. Why is he writing wrestling TV or booking wrestling TV? He says it's an absolute joke.
It is.
And we've heard it time and time again.
Let me say this. you and I agree on nothing musically, but we agree on most things wrestling-wise, because you and I actually like the old school stuff, and there's something that I really want to discuss, and I'm really afraid to say some of this stuff around Francine, just because I don't want to get her pissed off that I'm mocking people like Rob Van Dam. But for crying out loud, when I saw him come out at Armageddon 2004, I wanted to cry. Why? Because I've seen the guy come out, and he does the same damn thing every damn match, and I'm tired of him. In the old days, when you saw Big John Studd for 2 years, they sent him on his merry way for a year, and then he came back, and he was all that more special.
Absolutely. I mean, take a guy like Earthquake. Earthquake wasn't anything special. He had zero ring ability, but yet, you ever watch SummerSlam 90, him versus Hogan? It was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. I mean, you just completely got lost in the old school stuff. And, you know, some people may say, well, gimmicks aren't going to work nowadays. That might be true. You might not be able to do such cartoonish stuff, but you know what? There is nobody on that roster, with the exception of Triple H, that is larger than life. I can go to the corner store to get a thing of milk, and I can probably meet the next WWE champion.
Wow.
Nobody's larger than life. I really, honestly hope TNA blows WWE out of the water. I mean, they're not going to put them out of business. I mean, let's keep it in perspective. But I really hope they do well, because it's time for an alternative. The worst thing that ever happened in this business was when WCW was sold to Vince.
That was the night I broke my hand by punching doors. And I'm not kidding. Everybody, you want to know the truth? I have a scar on my hand from that night, because I went nuts and I started just punching things throughout the house and throughout the neighborhood. I was enraged because I knew what would happen, and I got on the website and I saw some stupid ass talking about how, and I had to censor myself there, how people is like, oh, well, now we're going to get to see these dream matches. Yeah, well, what happens after we see the dream matches, you stupid idiot?
Exactly.
You now have no opportunity to see dream matches in the future, because there's no alternative product. And I knew, because there's no billionaire out there who's willing to invest in wrestling, that it would be a hell of a long time before we got a viable contender to compete with the WWE.
But now, do you really believe TNA is going to be any kind of viable contender? They
No.
just gave... Let me finish. They just gave... I got to try and stop myself from laughing. I'm not trying to put down anything here. But how ridiculous can you get? You have Raven as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Nope.
It's some show that is not even televised, that no one even knows is happening. They give the belt to Jeff Jarrett, who owns the company. He's going to single-handedly ruin TNA.
And here's another little funny tidbit about that. Not only was it not televised, there was no cameras around, so there's no footage to even play when they get on TV.
Well, you know, I just hope, for the sake of wrestling fans, TNA can really give us something a little different, like you guys were saying, to utilize valets. I mean, there's no variety in WWE anymore.
Yeah, why
I don't
don't they?
understand. I don't understand how somebody who has no history of where this business came from can write a current product today. And it kills me even more that Vince McMahon sits back in his corporate mansion and allows this to go on.
Well, you gotta let me play devil's advocate here for just a minute, because the two of you guys are getting a little carried away.
No, I'm not getting carried away. I'm picking on TNA. I actually liked Raw. I liked SmackDown, so I'm not.
Well, let me go ahead and play devil's advocate, dude. Keep talking, man.
You're not a devil advocate.
Here's the deal. Okay, to some degree, the WWE gives the fans what they ask for, whether or not you guys want to believe that.
Yes.
And I think that's been part of the problem. And I don't necessarily think that's Vince McMahon sitting in his corporate mansion. I think that's Vince McMahon listening to people in his ear that he shouldn't listen to. Vince McMahon does not need to listen to the casual fan or to the internet fan, because, to be honest with you, they don't really know what they want. They think they know, they see it, and they don't like it anyway.
Well, that's one of the things that killed WCW creatively in 2000 and 2001. Jeremy Borash, who's an idiot, was listening to what the internet said to do. And the bottom line is, I ignore the internet fans, even though we're predominantly on the internet, because guess what? The internet fans are going to bitch and moan no matter what you give to them, so why even pay attention anyway? There's an old saying that my uncle used to have, and I say it all the time these days. Those who do the least complain the most, and these internet fans do nothing in their lives, so they have nothing left to do except bitch and moan.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I guess coming from that old school era, it's frustrating I mean, there's just such things that they can do. I mean, perfect example, take Survivor Series.
Right.
They come out with the video games Raw vs. SmackDown. Why not have Raw vs. SmackDown for Survivor Series? Teams of 4 from each show versus one another. And what would be at stake would be who is the better show as they try.
Wasn't that something similar they did in WCW with the 2 teams?
Millionaires Club against the New Blood?
Well, I don't know. Didn't they have that often? Like, wasn't that where they had the 2 matches?
Yeah, but that's WCW.
Oh, that was War Games.
Yeah,
War
well,
Games.
that's why they're not doing it, is because Vince does not want to resurrect anything
Well,
WCW.
You say that, but then they used to have Survivor Series shows where before 1991 there was no world title matches or even singles matches on Survivor Series. They were all groups of 4 or 5 teams facing off.
Well, let me tell you the biggest mistake the WWE is making right now. Okay? Well, I'm going to give you a couple. I'm even going to do you better.
Go ahead.
Okay? A lot of people think that it's misuse of writing. I tend to disagree. That's not their major problem. The major problem is this. Their roster is A, far too small. B, they do not do anything in the tag team division nor the cruiserweight division. And I guess I got to say really another big reason is the fact that they don't have any mouthpieces left to speak for people. I mean, any time Dick and Harry can get in front of someone, grab a mic. I'm holding a mic right now and talk, right? It's not that hard. Does it make it compelling? Not necessarily. You need someone who can be compelling. They don't have that. And this tag team stuff that they're pulling right now is an absolute joke. And and what this leads to is stupid filler matches and stupid filler segments that waste TV time.
Well, yeah, I mean, personally, I didn't really like how they had who was it, Murdoch going one-on-one with Hurricane. I mean, other than when they were trying to push Brett to be a singles competitor, when did you ever really see one half of a tag team fighting another half of a tag team?
That was reserved for house shows.
Right, exactly. I mean, you know, and that's another thing. They give away free matches. They're making the same mistake WCW made. I think it was 2 weeks ago. The opening match on Raw was Edge and who was it? Snitsky versus Hardy and Big Show. That's 2 matches right there off the pay-per-view. Why am I going to buy you a pay-per-view when I can tune into Raw and see all 4 combatants in the same match?
Well,
I mean,
Chuck hit on something that I think needs to be hit on here. When you talk about filler segments and everything, well, that's what these other belts are there for. That's why you have tag team championships. That's why you have a cruiserweight championship. WCW used to put on compelling television for 3 hours every week, every Monday night. And they did that because they had different divisions that they could draw from. You had more than 3 cruiserweights that could compete in the cruiserweight division. You had like 30 Mexicans running around. Nobody knew who they were. But guess what? When they got in there, they were entertaining to watch because they flipped around.
Well, I suppose that's messed up, man. That he just said that on the air.
Well, no, they were never defined. They just wore masks and they were wrestlers.
They just were Mexicans. They didn't need to be defined, right? You're unreal, dude. The point is now though that the WWE, we got to keep this all in perspective.
Have I done something wrong?
As you said in the beginning, Dynamite, is that it's all got to be put in perspective. You know, the WWE, as much as we like to admit it or not admit it, they're still making a gang of cash. Okay? And therefore, I mean, can we really expect them to change that much? Do something? I mean, they got to look at it this way. They run a business. They have, shareholders to answer to. I mean, they're a publicly traded company. Vince can't just say, I'm going to go in a completely different direction.
No.
There's things he can begin to do, like not fire all the cruiserweights and not have, these crazy tag teams put together. Eugene and Tajiri, why would they even talk to each other in the back? It's that unbelievable. How can a guy that can't even speak talk to a guy that only speaks Japanese? I don't understand.
Good point.
And now they're out there tag teaming. Why? I mean, to some degree, that is common sense. I think they need to write more TV for common sense.
Well, a problem that they seem to have is that great tag teams were never 2 of the same guys. They were 2 guys that were completely different. Let's talk about the Hart Foundation. You had the fantastic technical wrestler in Bret Hart, and you had this big ox of a guy who couldn't wrestle worth a lick, but he sure can beat the crap out of you, in Jim Neidhart.
Oh, but they complemented one another so well because you had the ring general in Brett, and then you had the muscle in Jim who would come in and basically clean house.
I'll be honest with you.
One thing that drives me nuts, these guys that they're quote unquote tag teams. How can you be a tag team? You don't even wear the same friggin' tights.
That is a good point.
Team. You don't wear the same tights, so it doesn't look anything like you're on the same page right now.
This is these things that I wonder. Like they had the Dudley Boys. They had Sylvain Grenier and who was the original guy?
Rene Dupree?
And Rene Dupree together. At least they looked like a team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And even to some degree, I give them credit for trying with the Hurricane and Rosie. Like, they both look stupid. I mean, that stands for something, right?
Although I kind of like the Hurricane. I don't know so much about Rosie, but I think the Hurricane, you can maybe throw somebody else, you know, give them the same kind of gimmick almost and put them in a tag team.
Well,
but I don't understand how you can consider guys tag teams. They don't look the same. They all look like they have separate agendas. They don't establish anything. And you brought up a good point. The tag teams are the old. I mean, they were two completely different styles of wrestling, but they meshed so well together. I mean, unless you listen to Ric Flair, according to him, Bret Hart never drew any money, which personally I think the Hart Foundation could be considered a pretty big draw for their time.
You know what? That statement alone on Ric Flair's part renders him an idiot. But let me go off on something here. I keep talking about how the rosters are too small and how maybe they need to filter in and out talent.
Entirely too small.
Entirely too small.
I mean, we're talking too small by like 70 guys.
Here's the thing. At Unforgiven, which we're not even going to have an opportunity to speak about this week, at Unforgiven, the Hurricane suffered an injury that he had to leave the match from and then come back later too hurt to compete again and lose the match. And then, 24 hours later, he's in the ring on Raw, unscathed.
Well, that's kind of like Ric Flair gets jumped in the back. Next thing you know, he's running down to the ring, sweating profusely, and he gets in the ring with his head all wrapped up, and all of a sudden he's trying to be in a tag match. The rosters are definitely way too small, and that doesn't even make any sense to me because back during kayfabe, the rosters were so much bigger. There were so many different characters.
There has to be.
Everybody was over.
Well, the thing is now, too, there's so much, and Francine has talked about this many times on our show, the politics are just out of control. Everyone's like, I can't not be on TV for a week. So what if you're not on TV for a week? Maybe you'll stay fresher for a little bit longer and have a longer ride. That's why when you see all these other older characters, they weren't on TV for 6-7 months at a time. Of course they had some longevity. People didn't get sick of them. I get sick of seeing Tyson Tomko shoved down my throat every week because he's not even a good worker. And he doesn't even have he's boring. He looks like Goldberg with tattoos, except not as big.
It's no different than Gene Sinitsky and Batista. I mean, Batista's got the world title, but it's kind of cut from the same mold and that intense.
Well, I actually like Batista because you got to give him this. He has come out of that mold and kind of become like a cocky, arrogant, like cool Joe.
No, I
He's
like
actually
Batista.
grown.
I'm just saying that all the characters are the same. Give him some variety. I don't want to see this big, if I want to see the big, burly, intense guy, I'll turn over to SmackDown. But if you're giving me all these characters on Raw that are the same mold as Batista, why am I going to want to go see the world champion on your other show?
I think the problem is, too, we're seeing way too much recycled stuff. Every time, like, James and I were watching Raw and we were talking on the phone, and I said, hey, we got Brian Pillman taking a shot from Scott Steiner. That's what it looks like to me. You see Chris Masters, Edge, I'm like, oh, Scott Steiner, Brian Pillman. And then what's going to happen next? Conway's going to come out, and I'm going to say, oh, Buff Bagwell making his way to the ring. Do something different. We've already seen this all done before. Maybe the characters wouldn't seem so stale if it hadn't already been done. And maybe if it was done 50 years ago, great. But we're talking 5 years ago we've seen these guys.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, maybe not all of them, but, I mean, we saw Scott Steiner as recent as 2 years ago.
Yeah, I really hope TNA can give us something. I can tell you this much. I'm going to tune in. I don't really know much about them. I mean, I've heard of some of the guys on their roster, but I'm going to tune in strictly because I am so sick of the product that WWE is giving me right now that I'm desperate to see some kind of alternative right now.
One of our avatars on the forums, and I can't remember the name, says it is your duty as a wrestling fan to tune in to Spike TV on October 1st and watch the first episode of TNA on Spike. If you like it, continue. If not, well, at least you know it's out there, and maybe you can come back later and it will be better. But the bottom line is, if you're a wrestling fan listening to this program right now, it is your duty to sit down and watch TNA October 1st, the first night on Spike, because guess what? We really don't have any other alternatives right now, so if you're really unhappy with the WWE, maybe TNA's for you.
I mean, you got to keep in mind, too, you look at TV programming in general, I mean, you got to put it in perspective. Is the WWE really that bad? I mean, in my opinion, no. What else would I watch? You know what I mean? There's a show on MTV, a reality show, about who can be the next reality show. I mean, it's ridiculous. What else would I watch anyway?
Oh, it is. There's nothing on
So, I mean, the overall quality, and a lot of this, too, that people take out of context is we don't really know. The WWE is on someone with Muhammad Hassan. They pulled the rug out from underneath them. We don't really know how much gets swept on the rug. Ideas that never come to fruition for some reason or other. Maybe the network execs say, we can't do that today. We're sorry. Nope, not going to work. You know? And then that's a great idea that could have potentially been the next, you know, Rock, Austin, something. Maybe it doesn't happen, but I bet it happens more than anyone wants to actually think.
Man, you could be definitely right. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that, you know, that doesn't meet the eye and we don't even get to see. It's just, it's so frustrating as a wrestling fan when you followed wrestling for such a long time and you've seen such really good stuff. I just think the product is dropped off. Like you said, everything is catered to this reality, the whole Edge leader thing. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned storylines like, I don't know, Savage accusing Hogan of having a thing for Liz, you know, and now all of a sudden it's, oh, well, whose bed did Lita sleep in last night? I mean, it's so reality TV-ish. It's just like, it makes me sick.
This is what I used to say. There was a time a long time ago where I would go to work. I'd be on my way home. I'd thinking I'd have to deal with idiots and morons all day. I'm censoring myself again, all damn day. But at least I get to go home and watch some good television and see some interesting characters. These days, I go to work. I deal with idiots and morons, Chuck, you're included, all damn day, and I get to go home and watch the same idiots and morons eating bugs on TV. Where is my television?
Exactly. Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned episode of Saved by the Bell? Or Family Matters or something, you know? Everything, it definitely is, you know, garbage right now. TV's...
Well, let me explain this to you guys. This is something I think that you're failing to understand. Culture and society changes. The climate in society has changed since Saved by the Bell. No one wants to watch this geek as Zach Morris because you know what? It's way too diverse now. Maybe at a time there was people like Zach Morris. You didn't see people like, you know, these goth people. You didn't see the vegans. You didn't see the skater guys. You didn't see the emo people. You didn't see the rap people. I mean, there was kind of a cookie-cutter image, more so than there is now. Things are way too diverse. The cultural climate has changed way too much.
That is such...
So you have to appeal to a larger audience. So therefore, you have to make the things that you do broader.
That is such BS. You had the burnouts, you had the metalheads, you had the rap guys back then, you had the poetry hippies that sit and drink coffee all day. You had all these people that were out there all along. It's BS to say that the culture's changed that much because what's the difference?
You used to have people that said that they wouldn't even say if they were gay or not, right? You know what I'm saying? It was taboo to say that. Now, everyone wants to be the first to tell everyone. So now you're going to tell me that society hasn't changed at all and the climate in society hasn't changed?
No, you have a point, but the only part that I disagree with, if that's the case, the only answer you could come up with is a show like Fear Factor or Survivor or boring mumble-jumble. I mean, that's just mindless dribble to me. You've seen one show, you've seen them all.
It's BS because here's the deal. You have these people that say, okay, well, if you're gay, come out and say it. If you're lesbian, come out and say it. If you're this, if you're that, congratulations. Come out and tell the world. But don't dare say anything because you got to be politically correct. You might hurt somebody's poor little feelings. Like shows like All in the Family would not have gotten passed on network television today because of Archie Bunker saying stuff that was actually true.
Very good point.
I don't know what Archie Bunker ever said.
Watch.
It was a very a lot of racial undertones on that show that, you know, today you're absolutely right. It probably wouldn't get past TV executives and things like that.
It's not just that. It's things like gun control. He came out and said things about gun control, and that wouldn't pass today because poor little Johnny, who lives in Bumble F, Wyoming, got shot with a gun, so we got to protect his parents so their poor little feelings don't get hurt.
Yeah, but see, what I don't understand, what's the difference between watching wrestling and watching a movie? If they can come out with movies and all this outrageous stuff like The Matrix and things like that and all these outrageous characters and storylines, what's any different than seeing it on a TV show?
They've even done things to WWE that's been successful in movies. Like Gail Kim, do you remember when she first came? She was actually like the Matrix chick. Like, they could have been so successful. I don't know why they stopped. Instead, they just made her like this bitch. Well, there's 1,000 women bitches. So what? I've seen it already.
They're almost all that way.
I mean, really.
Why did I bury myself a little more today?
I don't know. We're gotta go right now though, because we gotta go play this Ricky Morton interview.
I gotta tell you what.
Over.
We talked a lot about great tag teams, and one of the best tag teams of the '80s was the Rock and Roll Express. Often imitated, never duplicated. One of my favorite all-time tag teams. Ricky Morton's a great guy. You're gonna want to listen to this interview. It's almost a shame that we had to cut it so much for airtime, but be sure to check out www.wrestlingepicenter.com tomorrow, as you can hear the entire interview. But you definitely want to stay tuned.
This is Demolition Axe, and you're listening to the Interactive Wrestling Radio. We're being joined here by a tag team wrestling icon, one half of the Rock and Roll Express, none other than Ricky Morton. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for the intro. Appreciate that.
Funny little story that I want to share with you, or the fans. When I called you to set up this interview, you actually thought I was from the police department in Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona Police Department. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
I knew I hadn't been there in a while. You know?
Yeah, you got to come out this way. There's not enough indie action going on here, is there?
They still have wrestling out there?
Yeah.
Is there wrestling still going on out there?
Yeah, we got a company out here called Impact Zone Wrestling, but it's pretty much just a training school with a lot of young guys. No real names out here that much.
Okay. No names or nothing?
Pretty much, no. I mean, occasionally.
Like independent circuits, right?
Yeah, occasionally you'll get like a name like Johnny the Bull or somebody, but you won't get anybody huge.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
So what's happening? Anything?
Tell
me. What's up? Let's talk.
Chuck, you ready to roll?
Well, yeah, why don't we get it started by this? We read that your dad was a referee for many years in the wrestling business.
Yeah,
Was it through your dad you found out that you had a passion and wanted to be a professional wrestler?
He had a passion? No. You know, but my dad was a professional wrestler before he refereed. And so that's why you guys don't understand that. I grew up in the wrestling business. I grew up in it. My dad used to haul the ring, like for Nick Goulas and Jerry Jarrett, to do their shows with, right? My dad, since I was a kid, and I was always with him to put the ring up, grew up in it. You know, I had no intention of being a professional wrestler until I, got older and got out of school and everything. How's that, guys?
Well, what exactly was it that attracted you to it?
Well, see, I already knew how to wrestle.
Yeah.
And what attracted me to it was I was a foreman at a book bindery. You know, I made books, and I was a foreman there. We went on strike. You know, so I went with my dad to a show one night. And, and once you had a match, I used to wrestle before. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the business had changed since then. I hadn't been around the business for like 2 years, 3 years since I worked a job. You know.
Right.
And I didn't realize how it had changed, how popular it was. Well, I went to Evansville, Indiana with my dad, and you always take your wrestling bag,
Yeah.
And I took my bag with me. If something happened, somebody didn't show up, I wrestled Ken Wayne. And I couldn't believe Evansville, Indiana, it was sold out. Must have been 10,000 people there. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And that's how I got back in the wrestling business. Once I had that one match, Jerry Jarrett hired me, and I went from there, man.
Wow. Yeah, most of us, as I did the intro, I introduced you as one half of the Rock and Roll Express. Most of us remember you most fondly from those days. How did you end up teaming up with Robert Gibson?
In Memphis for Jerry Lawler. At the time was booking Memphis, and they had a team there called the Fabulous Ones, Stan Lane and Steve Kern.
Absolutely.
And to tell you the truth, they had a lot of heat. Lawler didn't like them worth of shit. I mean, excuse my language.
No, we'll cut that out. Don't worry. We'll cut it out in post-production. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Lawler didn't like them too much, so he wanted another tag team, and he brought me and Robert in, made us the Rock and Roll Express. You know, we're gonna go. You know, Ricky and Robert, him and Jimmy Hart put it together.
Yeah.
And, matter of fact,
wow,
got over real good, man.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. And you guys went on to have a lot of legendary battles with Stan Lane as part of the Midnight Express he was part of at that time.
Oh, yeah, part of Midnight. Well, first of all, it was Dennis Condrey.
Right.
And
that's actually a question we got coming in. Did you think that the team of Eaton and Lane or Condrey was the better form of the Midnight Express?
Well, you know, I can't even answer that question.
Yeah.
I put it like this right here. Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton was a Super Bowl team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. So, say Joe Montana was quarterback. Dennis Condrey left and Steve Young come in and took his place. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Stan Lane stepped right in his shoes and filled them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, all of them are good. In which we packed arenas with all three of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
We just didn't pack arenas with one of them. We packed arenas with all three of them.
Yeah.
So we didn't miss a bit. Didn't miss a bit off that.
Yeah, that's something you really don't see much today in terms of WWE using the tag teams to draw people in. Do you think they're missing the boat by not having enough tag teams in the business?
Okay, beg your pardon. Repeat that for me, ma'am. I'm doing a radio interview. I'm sorry. You can get out of this, can't you?
Yeah, sure.
All right, good, because I got another guy, wrestler, just walked in. He was talking to me, and I'm listening to you because about my little boy. What'd you say now?
Well, you mentioned that you filled arenas with these guys, and that's something that WWE doesn't seem to be doing with tag teams these days, is using them to draw anything. Do you think they're missing the boat by not having much emphasis on tag team wrestling?
Well, you know what the point of it is, I believe, it's not, I don't know if it's WWE, I don't think guys won't tag anymore. The reason why is because, you know, they make, everybody's jealous of everybody. Mm-hmm. Nobody compliments anybody anymore. When it comes to, you know, when you're a tag team, you got to compliment each other. Mm-hmm. One of you is like me. I knew my job. My job was sell and give Robert Gibson a hot tag.
Right.
But see, only if a babyface knew that today, a true babyface, and learn how to sell, he'll be the overest babyface there is. But see, if you watch WWE, they have nobody that sells. They have nobody. You don't know who's heel, who's babyface. Wow. When you listen to the show. So why even put anybody together for? It's not going to last long. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be in a fight. Or put together. I don't know if it's Vince's idea because, you know, I really don't even watch WWE.
Right.
I wish I could book it. You know what I'm saying?
Is that what you want to do?
I wish I had the job booking it. I can turn it around for him. I can promise you that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what you see is you got to have a situation where it's my way or the highway. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
You got to go.
What do you think of their writers these days? Their writers are mostly people that came from Hollywood writing shows like Friends, and they don't seem to understand the business.
Well, stupid. You know what I'm saying? You got to try out for this part.
Right.
That's the reason. Well, do you understand? That's why the ratings are so low.
Right.
They lost the reality of wrestling. And, you know, I'm saying that, look at every match is one high spot.
Yeah.
You know, they start the match out with a high spot and it ends with one.
Right.
They don't know how to tell stories, don't know how to work.
Right.
You know, they need to teach these guys. You know, it's hard for me to explain. Sometimes y'all don't even understand what I'm talking about. So I've been in this business all my life.
Yeah.
You know, you got to learn how to work. You got to know how to put. I mean, look at these people that's in charge of WWE. Is that Johnny Ace?
Yeah.
What do you ever draw any money at?
Well, what the hell was it? What was his name when they wore the skateboards out the ring? What the hell was their name? Jesus Christ. Dynamic Dudes or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but they never sold out.
Yeah, they never. Oh no, they never drew. I was just making fun of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now look at that. He's got a job that's. As a matter of fact, he's firing everybody that's in the wrestling business that knows how to. You know, that's what I heard up there. You know, he's getting rid of people who knows everything about wrestling. That's how. You know, and Vince has got to understand that. He don't want nobody around to jeopardize his job. You understand?
Mm.
So, I mean, first thing I did wasn't there. I'd fire his ass. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You got to go, buddy. Okay, everybody here sit down except you, Johnny Ace. Your ass fired. Leave. You know?
Wow.
All right. But you have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't see. He's a control freak, and I know that for a fact. You understand?
Vince or Johnny Ace?
Johnny Ace. He's a complete control freak. You know, look at it. He booked for Baba in Japan. Hell.
Yeah.
My little son could do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All you got to do is bring names in, pay them. So understand. You got to know something about this business before you can do something with it, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's get back to the line of questioning. We usually go in like a chronological order, but we kind of got out of order there.
Slow down for me, buddy. What'd you say?
Sorry about that. We usually go in a more chronological order, but let me ask you this question. Going back to the old days of tag team wrestling, or not so old anyway, let's talk about the Road Warriors. And I got a question for you coming in from our chat room. They want us to ask you what your memories are of the classic Road Warrior Hawk.
I loved him.
Yeah.
I grew up with him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I was just talking about with people. You know, we grew up with each other. I grew up in this wrestling business.
Right.
Like I met Hawk, 20 years ago.
Right.
You know, I was with him every day.
Right.
At first, they were the big, strong, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Rough-ass, stiff son of guns, buddy. But then they learn how to work. And then they learn how to draw money. You see what I'm saying? Then they found out what this business is about and how easy it was to draw money. It got to be a lot more fun. But look how they got rich. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I got to ask you this. A lot of people that we have talked to find it kind of, disrespectful that they're currently kind of doing this whole gimmick where another wrestler kind of impersonates Hawk.
I haven't seen that. Robert Gibson was telling me about that. We got a guy that comes, they got Hawk's voice, and he comes out there. Well, see, okay, now I'm introducing you to Hollywood. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's wrong. Another thing is, and don't get me wrong, I love Joe, but that's his brother trying to give him a push. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
His brother's giving him a push, his ideas, and the bottom's going to drop out of it. As a matter of fact, it's going to hurt Joe more than help him. You understand me?
Yeah.
I believe it is. It's going to hurt him more than help him. You know, Joe's he can hang by himself. Joe's going to be a single wrestler. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Wrestle for the world title or something. He can still do that. The guy's there?
Yeah, you skipped out for a second. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't making y'all mad, am I?
No, not at all, not at all.
You asked me, and I'm answering it. You know?
Dude, I agree with you. We actually agree with you that, people shouldn't be, I personally find it a little offensive because I know that Hawk was not exactly a big fan of the WWE, so seeing that the Road Warrior's name continued in the WWE, I got to think that if he's looking down from heaven, he's pretty pissed off.
Well, that's to be pissed off, pissed on, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, so I think Joe. No, hold on a minute.
Yeah, man. All right. There's a lot of people that ripped you guys off. I guess I'm going to use that term loosely with the Rock and Roll Express gimmick. The first one that comes to mind is like the Rockers. Did you ever get angry that they kind of borrowed from your gimmick?
Well, the people say often imitated. No way. No way. They could be the Rock and Roll Express. No, you know what, dude? I took this compliment.
Really?
Yes, I did. These days, you can't do nothing like that. When Shawn Michaels, like y'all didn't understand, Shawn Michaels, I met him when he was a kid, you know what I'm saying, San Antonio, Texas.
Right.
He was a bit Ricky Morton, Robert Houston fan. And when he was in Louisiana with us when we had our first run for Bill Watts with the Midnight Express. And he left and went off. We was a Rock and Roll Express. They called them Midnight Rockers. Look where it got him today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just wish he'd help me get a job.
Yeah, I understand that. I hear that, man. Well, let me give you this. I saw a shoot interview or something that you did a couple years ago, and you were goofing off about not liking the York Foundation when you became, the whole thing. What did you think of that whole heel turn?
Man, it was just a way to, you had to tell you the truth, dude. I still, I can go if I want to. Look out, I'll be 49 years old this coming Wednesday.
Wow. Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. I wrestled Stan Lane the other night.
Right.
In Dunn, North Carolina. We went 30 minutes in the match. 30 minutes went by before we even realized it. We had to finish the match because, I had to get out of the building. You know what I'm saying? We could have went all night.
Wow.
And people were popping and everything. But see, I still had it in me.
Right.
At the time, you got to understand, you had Sting, Lex Luger, all these other people, Brian Pitt. You see, that's what your friends, they can't get over you. You see what I'm saying? So they do something to try to get you out of the way this way. You see what I'm saying? And the York Foundation, that's where it come about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just something to get me somewhere else, to get me out of the way. That was all,
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I'm just telling you the truth. You know?
Absolutely.
I'd go out there and tear the house down with Stan Hansen, and they'd go out there and run from him. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. They couldn't understand that. But what about the business? What about this? All this is about this business. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
In 1992, you wrestled at the Survivor Series for the WWE.
Yeah.
Why didn't you see more of a run from the Rock and Roll Express after that? It just kind of seemed to drop off shortly thereafter.
I was a Smoky Mountain Wrestling at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey went up there as Heavenly Bodies.
Yeah.
We had our own area. But, I work independence. I still work 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm off tonight, you know what I'm saying? I'll start back. Matter of fact, I got to go pick Bobby Eaton up. Mingham's got to go to a couple of shows,
Wow.
And, but we, I like working independent. If I had a job in the office for WWE, and listen, you know what I'm saying? People got to understand. You just can't come out have 5 matches and think you know everything about this business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what it is today. I see some of the greatest wrestlers. It's like Chris Hamrick. You guys ever heard of Chris Hamrick?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
To be honest with you.
Beg your pardon?
I said I'm a big fan of him.
Well, I like him too, but see, if he'd learned, his whole match is high spot. You know what I'm saying? If he'd learn how to work, you know what I'm saying? I mean, not tell a little story in his match instead of doing high spots all the time. He could be somewhere big. You know what I'm saying? Which don't get me wrong, I love Chris. Chris is a good friend of mine. But I watch his matches. I watched him the other night when they got the heat on him. Before he gave his partner a hot tag, he did 3 big high spots. And then he tagged his partner. So you got to understand, you don't know this business. You know what I'm saying? You got to know what puts those butts in those seats.
Absolutely.
What gets your attention to make these people watch your TV show to your ratings get up. You understand?
Yeah.
They got all away from that. Like I told you, when I turned the TV on, I watched WWE. I don't know who the baby face of the heel is.
Right.
Everybody's going to rip their head off and do down their neck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a storyline. They don't do an interview that tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have no true baby face on there. You understand what I'm saying? That sells. You know, that makes that big comeback, boom, 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 and they go home. You don't have that no more, you know?
You know, something that really shocked me once is I was actually on the phone about to do an interview with Missy Hyatt right before she was watching Raw on her television right where she's getting ready to do the interview, and she's saying, wow, I just saw the match start, and I just saw 6 finishing moves, and nobody got pinned.
Yeah, here's the way to do it, though, man. Look at they're powerbomb them
right
off the top rope, go through 47 tables,
right,
do a moonsault out on the concrete, and everybody kicks out on one, but the finish will be a small package. Now tell me, dude. I mean, something's wrong somewhere, isn't it? Okay.
I agree with you.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of these shows I go to, you know, I'll be at some of these independent shows, and these guys tell me, why don't you do this anymore? Why don't you wrestle this long anymore? Because I ain't got nobody to do it with. You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm wrestling Bobby Eaton or Stan Lane or Dennis Condrey, or the Barbarian.
Right.
And over here, I mean, sometimes I get lucky, get to work with Bill Eadie. You know what I'm saying? This man's superstar. These guys all know how to work.
Yeah.
So we can go out and go 30 minutes. I mean, I worked with George South the other night, and we tore the house down, and then we didn't lock up for 20 minutes. You understand what I'm saying? We told a story, though. And then, it wasn't me doing high spots. Brother grabbed a claw on me. Blackjack Mulligan's claw, and people were coming through the ropes trying to get to him. You understand?
Absolutely.
Because we had these people believing what we were doing, you know. See, what way I did, when I was a baby face, when I sewed, if I could make that guy on the very front row believe I'm hurt,
right,
but not dying, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm selling, but not dying. And then, when the wrestlers all ask me, man, you all right? Are you hurt? Okay. What do you think that guy at that top balcony's thinking?
Wow.
Huh?
Yeah. I understand
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's the way I thought in my head. And, you know, when somebody did something to me to sell, I mean, like, going to the ropes, somebody give you a knee. I mean, in a real fight, if I give you a knee, you're going to do a forward flip. You understand what I'm saying? You feel like somebody really did it to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like Tracy Smothers asked me the other night. I worked with Tracy. So, Ricky, how long can you sell a punch? I said, till you come back and get me. You know what I'm saying? I'll be in a corner and brother hit me with a punch. I'll go down. I ain't going. I'm not going nowhere. Go get your heat. I'll stay there and sell that punch till you come back and get me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where the lost art is today. You know. And nobody understands that. Nobody wants to listen.
Well, you said you don't watch WWE all that often. Is there anyone, though, that you have seen in the last year or two up there that you feel maybe does get the idea of how to do this?
I love Kurt Angle. He's one of the best. What can I say? He's great for our business. You understand what I'm saying? He's great. Chris Benoit, real good. Love Chris. These guys work. They work. You ever watch Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle work?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's it. You can draw money like that.
Right on.
Okay?
Right.
Because they know how to draw money.
Right.
But you can't just pull like these other cats. I watch some of this stuff on there, and it blows my mind. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Really, I'm embarrassed. A lot of these independent shows, I won't go out. Sometimes I try to go out, but a lot of them I hide because I'm embarrassed. I worked so hard in this business to get it where it is today. Then they come out and make it like that, you know, it embarrasses the shit out of me. Excuse my language, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But you know, it embarrasses me.
Yeah. We actually had Hulk Hogan on the show, and he mentioned that a lot of the kids today, a lot of younger workers, just don't seem to listen with their heart and work the crowd. Do you think that's the case as well?
No, yes. They don't know how to work. That's what I was telling you earlier. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not late. I work hard.
Right.
But when you got the people right there at your hands, why even lock up? You understand what I'm saying? We got them.
Yeah.
So Hogan's, that's what he was telling you.
Absolutely.
See, when I walk out the door, see, I never call nothing in the back. Never.
Yeah. That's what he also said that too.
Finish. That's about it. When I walk out the door, I can listen to the people and tell you right where I want to go, tell you what they want. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I start my match off, I know if they want me to sell. I know if they want it to be a funny match. I know if they want the heat. You know what I can tell? I mean, because I've been in this business all my life.
Right.
You know, watch it, buddy. They're going to bite you. That's my little boy. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You stay okay. But it's just business has changed so much. But see, it's got to come around back to the old bit way.
Yeah.
Before they ever get the ratings back up, before they ever start. See, understand this. Just think of WWE. Went to this like we used to do. We worked Memphis every Monday night, or we worked Louisville every Tuesday night. Well, it's according to what territory we was in, right?
Right.
Okay, like Charlotte, we ran town like Fayetteville every Monday night, Greenville, blah, 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 blah. Dude, we sold these towns out every week. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, okay, let's think if WWF came back to the same town every Monday night. What would they be drawing there?
Nothing. Good point.
Yeah, you couldn't hire people to go in there. You know what I'm saying? You had to pay them to go in and watch the wrestling show. Right. So understand that. That's what they got away from.
Yeah. People used to be so adamant against, like we talked about the Midnight Express. When they would beat you guys, there'd be almost a riot that would ensue. Do you think that maybe the lack of maybe kayfabe is affecting it as well?
Oh yeah. Guys have no respect for our business, which you know, it's still. Even though Vince is on TV, you tell everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You always have that few that don't know. You understand?
Right.
See, back in our day, you know, people, they always ask you wrestling's fake, right?
Right.
But they says, man, they watch it. I mean, it's people you know, intelligent people. So you know, man, I went to a show, and in first three matches, I know they were set up. But y'all's match, boy, that was real. You see what I'm saying? They had the benefit of the doubt. They didn't know, you know. So you just gotta, you know, you gotta re-educate the people to our wrestling business again. It's got way out of hand. They got so many people in the office like Eric Bischoff and people like that. They don't know shit about wrestling business.
Yeah.
They never been in the ring. They never took a bump. Look at Johnny Ace. What's he ever done?
Right.
What, he was a tag team partner with the skateboard? You know, I mean, what did he ever do?
Yeah.
So what right does he have to say anything about anybody or take anything away from anybody? Because he's never sold out an arena himself. So how does he know?
Exactly.
You know, he's got that corporate business to him that, you know, he get in the corporate ears and do that. I could turn. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back.
Right.
I could turn it around, but they have to listen to what I say do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to listen. You know, I couldn't do it by myself. Don't get me wrong. I had to have some other people to help me.
Right.
But to re-educate the people, and it'll take a while. You got to re-educate the people to this business. Get it back the way it used to be. Okay.
I remember in 1999 or so, Kevin Nash wrote this scathing article, and he pointed you out word for word, something about how you were against adult aspects of wrestling. I don't even remember what that was all about. Do you remember it?
About what now? I was against what?
Kevin Nash wrote this article about you, and he was saying how, you know, you never did anything, and how you shouldn't be talking about wrestling, shouldn't be adult entertainment, all this stuff. I mean, I don't even remember what he was talking about, but it just popped into my head when you were talking. Do you remember what the whole altercation was about?
No, not really, but, you know, look at Kevin Nash. Everything he's got that gave to him. You understand?
Yeah.
I only seen him have one good match. That was with Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels did it. I mean, Kevin never drew a dime in this business. Look, they damn near killed TNA. You know what I'm saying? Every territory they went to, they killed. So he did anyway. So he don't have a right to talk about nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He never. Only thing he did was got in the ear and he got money.
Right.
He never drew real money.
Right.
So he don't have a right to say nothing about anybody because, you know, but to listen to him, you think he knows everything in the world about this business. But understand that's the reason the business is in the shape it is because of guys like them. They killed it, you know.
Wow.
They killed our business. Okay.
You mentioned Eric Bischoff a few minutes ago, and you guys were actually part of WCW in '96 when the tag team division seemed to be heating up a little bit over there. How come you guys, like, just never seem to get any attention put on you?
I wouldn't kiss Eric's ass.
Ah.
You understand what I'm saying? But, you know, I got what I got the hard way.
Right.
You know, I didn't have to go kiss his ass to get a job.
Yeah.
You know, if I did, I wouldn't not have one. As a matter of fact, you know, look at Eric. How did Eric Bischoff get his job? You know, he lied about everything there was. You know, he was just an announcer.
Wow.
You know, he got in that corporate ear. He got in that corporate thing, and he got the place. Look at him, he's rich now. Got to hand that to him. You know, but but the rest of the business, he don't know. That's the reason the business in the shape it is.
Right.
They don't know. Kevin Nash, he don't know. He thinks he knows. Everybody thinks they know everything, but they don't know shit. Okay, that's what it is. You know, I can tell you guys. You see, me and Robert, we sold out arenas everywhere we went.
Absolutely.
Way and long before them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't have to say nothing about that. I got my track record to prove what I done. Does he? No. Okay.
Well, let's fast forward a few years to the modern wrestling scene, as we're talking about a couple of years ago. We saw you show up in TNA to feud with AMW, America's Most Wanted, a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of the TNA product, and do you think that the Jump to Spike TV can be a really strong, positive thing for them?
Well, you want me to tell you the truth, or you want me to lie to you?
I'd like you to tell me the truth, my man.
You want me to tell you the truth?
I'd like to hear it. Call it as you see it. You know what I mean?
If Jeff would step down and get out of the way, they could do business.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand exactly what you're saying.
They shouldn't call it TNA show. They should call it Jeff Jarrett show.
Because, you know...
He beats everybody he brings in. He's involved in everything there is. He's still the champion. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Get out of the way for a while. You know,
I said this before on a radio show that definitely seems to be a problem with the TNA product. But do you think that they have anyone there that would be able to step up to the championship, level and be able to help carry that company? Or is there just such a lack of good workers and good people that are able to tell a storyline that company could be kind of out of luck?
Well, I could take that company, and I could take AJ Styles and teach him. You know, AJ Styles is great. You know what I'm saying?
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, but he still needs to learn how to control and work a match. Because, you know, and don't get me wrong, you know, a lot of times when you go in, you got to work with people who don't know how to work. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
You got to learn how to control that match. Not control the wrestler in there, but control the match, control the fans. You understand? And that leads to drawing money. Okay? I could go there and AJ would listen to me. I could make him carry that whole company. You know what I'm saying? I could.
Right.
And if he would listen to me.
What about some other people they have there? Do you ever think like a Monty Brown, maybe a Raven, would ever be good people to really figurehead that company for a while?
No. They're not good at. Let me tell you something. It's a whole different ball game from down south and up north.
Right.
Okay? You're in a whole different league. Raven was good at ECW, which is fine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you go down south, bro, it's a whole different ball game. You got to learn how to do it everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere you go, like if you go out west or up north or down south, you got to understand. You got to know how to carry these people.
Different fans, different tastes.
Yes,
is that what it is?
Yes, sir. And you got to learn how to adjust to them. Okay.
Right.
That's what draws money. Okay. And don't get me wrong. I ain't knocking nobody.
Right.
But you know, it's a whole different ball game from up north or down south. So you got to learn how to do it all. I mean, you got to get somebody. You got to get some new people too, some new faces.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody that's over. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to take the people off WWE that they done been on TV for 10 years and done everything, and WWE got rid of them and bring them to TNA. No, you don't need to do that. All you doing is using their dirty laundry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
See, AJ Styles started out in TNA. You know, you could teach him. I could teach him how to carry that whole territory, like you said earlier. All right. But, you know, we have to have other guys, too. And I have to go in there and look around. Kid Cash is good. But, all right.
Of that day. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, two good-looking young baby faces.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But see, I watched them work the other night, and they're in that syndrome. It was at the Charlotte Legend show, and they're in that syndrome of high spots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Learn to get out of that. You tell a little story, you get the heat on the baby face, and you give your partner a hot tag. And then you go home, okay? You tell the story. If they get... See, I could take them guys, too, but they're going to have to listen to me. That's why I was telling you earlier, it's my way or the highway.
Right.
You know, it ain't no in-between.
Do you feel, it sounds like I kind of get the impression that you might feel a little bit like the people that are currently in the business really have a propensity to not listen to others, people who've been around for a while. Do you tend to see that being the case?
Well, see, when you work hard in this business, you get paid by the week. And back then, these guys never made $25 a night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, they're making millions of dollars. They don't give a shit about you or me either. You know what I'm saying?
Right. They didn't pay their dues.
They don't care. They didn't pay their dues.
Right.
You know, none of them did. You know, and look at here, buddy. I mean, I sold out arenas over there. These guys make more off one pay-per-view than I made in 5 years of business. You know that? You guys don't even realize that, do you?
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
Oh, yeah. They make more off one pay-per-view than me wrestling 365 days a year in 5 years.
Wow.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is extremely unbelievable.
It's got to piss you off a little bit, too.
A business that is that successful and able to draw that much money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason that, because that's the reason Jim Crockett and Bill Watson, all them are rich, and I'm not. All right?
It's still amazing to think that a company that can be that big and draw that much money